Just this morning, a side of me open that I never noticed. We are the future, ride for the culture. Put my dirty clothes on the lines of a notebook. Never hide from exposure, show you nobody is unbroken.
Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah.
I'm unstoppable. Came too far to be barred by an obstacle. That's not an optional. What they call hard is like riding a bicycle. I'm phenomenal. Feeling like I could do what a mythological guy could do. Power is optimal. It's my time to make impossible and the possible.
Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah. I'm born again. I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. Remember my name. You see my face every breath that you take. Just when you think I was torn down in flames, I'm born again. All of my dark days are gone. You will remember. You will remember. Yeah, you will remember. You will remember. Yeah.
I think it was a season of consistency, especially partaking this year. It was a season that our team really propelled from the beginning of the year. We struggled, to have some good solid finishes. We opened the season with second, and we really tried our best to get the first win for William at that point, but then we had probably a good string of, like, I would say 15, 20th place finishes that just weren't indicative of how we were running. But I mean, from the midpoint of the season, we really progressed to really showcase that we were actually starting to become a top 5 team at that point. And at that point, we were really struggling to have short run speed. But I mean, luckily enough, the car was capable of having a long run speed to it, and that propelled us, keep having a little bit to build on, a little bit more short run here and there at certain tracks, and to really propel us to a top 3 team every week. And I would say this year to date, it's really been a consistency factor that I've lacked in recent years, and I would say even back in 2013 when I was really good. So the guy I'm looking to make sure I beat is not myself, and you got to be fully in tune, constantly every lap, every second with your teammates. And I mean, that's a political answer, I would say, but I mean, it's how I feel. I mean, you can't beat yourself in this format. And I mean, you see it with a lot of guys. They have so fast machines, and they beat themselves, whether they make pressure situations, they make a mistake or whatever, and that's something we can't do. I mean, it's very easy to do, and I've talked with William about it. He's it's given me a lot of, tidbits. Just, focus on what you can do. Focus on, not making mistakes and let the other guys make mistakes, but just put some pressure on them if you can. And if I had to pick another driver, I would honestly, it's kind of a mix of two. I would say, Loser won there this past March, and it's hard to discredit his win because he was flying that week. And I probably had some bad strategy calls on our end that put us out of contention, but I thought we were a pretty good long run car. And I know Michael and 8 Machine is going to be pretty stellar. We're going to be pretty much on the same stuff and trying to close the deal out ourselves. So it's 4 talented drivers. It's very hard to pick one, who you'd have to beat.
Our second half has been great. Good bit of tracks we've gone to as well that I just enjoy driving at. But really, I feel like I've just taken advantage of kind of the cautions at the end of the race, and I just been able to be aggressive with not much to lose given my position. And I've just been able to have a good short run car as well under me. I know I have to perform better throughout a whole race than I have been. I've gotten those finishes, especially technically Kansas finishing third. I got those by basically being aggressive at the end and going for it. And Homestead, we have to win. So you can't just go get a third. You have to be up there the whole race. I am fortunate that we started off with a road course. So I feel pretty fortunate to be in this Final Four. Maybe those other 2 races don't play out exactly how they did, and maybe I get wrecked in one or something because I'm driving different. I was really fortunate to be able to just kind of drive those and have fun with those other 2 races in the playoff. So I really just feel fortunate that I was able to win that first race, and just, thankful that I have another opportunity at a championship. Yeah, there's $100,000. That's what everyone likes to talk about. But I just want to win the championship. That's just what I've wanted to do ever since my first year in this series. It's honestly equal between the 3 because they've all shown that they're capable. So really, I'm just looking at myself because that's all I can control. They've been all good, but I've made it here too. And I've had the best average finish of everybody. I finished the top 5 more than anybody. I have as many wins as anybody this year. They're not at this type of track, but it doesn't matter. A win's a win. Your finishes are your finishes, and I could care less about them. I'm just worried about myself because really I'm just racing myself. I don't worry about them. I worry about me. If I'm doing the best I can, I'll definitely be up there and probably winning it if I'm at my best.
The beginning of the season was very successful for us. We had a ton of speed, won 3 in a row, should have won Dover, had a chance to win Atlanta, got caught up, so we could have been looking at like 5 in a row there possibly, which would have been amazing. But really, the 3 wins saved me in the playoffs because the rest of the year was bad. We barely scraped in coming into Dega. Still wasn't locked in at Dega, and that was really scary in itself. We saw Jimmy get in and Clampett just get caught out there. So we've really just been caught up in a lot of stuff through the second half of the year and didn't have the speed. We turned it around for the playoffs, had the speed, just still was getting caught up in stuff, and somehow we just, I think all the bad luck we had at the beginning of the year or through the second half of it kind of went away. It definitely went away because we were very, very fortunate to make it in here. But most importantly, I really do think we have the speed back in the car that we had those first 5 or so weeks. So there's a ton on the line. I know I was nervous in 2017 and 2018 to get those foot shakes, and that was for 10 grand. And now I can't really imagine what is going to be going through all of our heads, for 100. I probably won't sleep very well Sunday night. I didn't sleep very well last Monday getting ready for Texas. Just going to try to keep the nerves in check because I know there's going to be a lot of them. And just not make a mistake in qualifying. That's probably my biggest focus, is just to qualify up front and then, calm down in the race and get settled in. I think everyone is relieved that we dodged Keegan. Honestly, but for me, I think it's probably going to be Nick. Andre will be super, super fast. I don't think he's been in the playoff or the championship hunt for a couple years, if I serve right. I think he was in 2014 he was in the hunt last I remember. So I know he's going to be really hungry, and he's always super fast. So if I had to put my money on one person, I'd say Nick.
Going into the playoffs, being the second seed, we were in a good spot. Like I talked to you about, the goal at that point was to start winning races, because you can't win a championship in this series if you don't really win races. We've seen in the last couple of years, you've had to win at Homestead to win the championship. So we went into the playoffs. We had really high hopes. We knew we'd do well at the Roval. We knew we'd have speed. I don't think anybody expected us to blow a motor at the Roval. That was just some bad luck with the way some things went with how the shifter went into gear, but it was some poor decisions on my part too as to how to handle that all in the moment. Looking back on it, probably should have just thrown the clutch in to avoid blowing the motor, but when you're in the moment, you don't have time to react. And unfortunately, we blew up and it put us in a big hole. We almost dug out of it at Kansas, got collected in a last lap crash, so that crashed our hopes and dreams there a little bit. But then going into Texas, we knew that points weren't on the table anymore. We were 43 behind. There was no way to point in. Being consistent or being conservative with what we had done throughout the year, that was not going to work. So we knew aggression was the only way to go. And aggression is what we did. We were aggressive with the first pit stop, taking tires and nobody did. We were aggressive with running the first stint out long and catching that caution. You know, consistency got us to the playoffs, but aggression last Tuesday has ultimately got us into the Final Four. So it's been a very, very different year. The beginning of the year really contrasts the end of the year. In the middle, everything is just different, but it's 2020. 2020 has been crazy with everything in life. My season has been crazy. Life has been crazy. So to be here in the Final Four is definitely not what I expected a couple weeks ago, but super happy to be here. Nick's been doing this a very long time. He's been doing it as long as me. So he's got the experience. He's been in these positions before. Honestly, I think he's long overdue for a championship with the amount of success he's had otherwise. I'd say he's becoming the Mark Martin of the eNASCAR Coke Series, because he's just so good. He's won so many races. He's always there, but just hasn't ever closed it out and won a championship. And Nick and I go back a long way. We're friends. We're close. We share notes back and forth to make both of our cars go faster. So I know that whatever I have on Tuesday, he's got access to all of that data. We're both Chevy drivers. Ultimately, our goal here is to make the manufacturers as fast as possible. That's our goal. So whatever I have, he's going to have. Whatever I learn, he's going to have access to. So he's a great driver. He's a great competitor. He's a great friend, but I think he's going to be right there with me. So that's scary. But Luza's scary too, because there's an unknown with Luza. You know, he was really fast at the beginning of the year. They fell off big time in the middle of the year. And then I think Tuesday night, which I'm not sure anybody picked up on it, but he had a bad fast car. He just never had a chance to show it because they were always on the back foot with strategy and never had track position. But in all of the races leading up to Tuesday's Coke race, that car was stupid fast. And then you've got Bobby, who's the road course master. You know, that guy is so good on road courses. I mean, I thought that I was the best road racer before he came into the series. And then he came into the series and I was like, wow, I was not as good as I thought I was. And I'm still trying to get as good as him and working on that every year. But you know, the question with him is, can he take an extremely fast car, which we know he's going to have. He's going to have the car under him, but can he take that fast car and just find a little bit extra in his driving to get to where he needs to be, to get up front, to be in contention, to win Homestead, not finish top 5 like he's done most of the year on the ovals and be consistent. He's got to go up there and win. So really, all of us have our strengths. All of us have our weaknesses. You could say good and bad things about all of our chances, but Nick is definitely going to be my biggest worry, but those other two are no slouches either. They'll be right there.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real. I'm feeling so ruthless. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. Nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down. It's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise. Don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down. Hand over my crown. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up. I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart. I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
inches from the wall. You can feel it. This is where you go if you want to be remembered.
Great drivers perform when the pressure is at its highest. And that's right here, right now.
I'll try and just tap him, make sure he doesn't go wreck or anything, but yeah, there would be some contact involved.
It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
To $300,000 ends tonight from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. We say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the championship race of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us on the iRacing Esports Network and streaming live at eNASCAR.com. As always, myself, Evan Pasoko, happy to be alongside with Steve Letarte and Parker Kligerman on the call tonight. And guys, it has been 20 weeks now, including tonight, since we began this journey with 40 of the best sim racers in the world. But Steve, we have finally whittled it down to the top 4, who tonight have a shot at that top prize of $100,000.
Yeah, Evan, it's been an adventurous year so far. 16 weeks of the regular season were a blast, and then the 3 weeks of the playoffs leading up to tonight showed the ups and downs of racing in this playoff format. We saw victories, we saw letdown, but in the end, I think we have a great group of 4 drivers going after the biggest prize in eNASCAR history. $100,000 for the winner, Parker, but over $300,000 in total. So regardless of where you finish, you have to continue to grind. Every position has more value.
Right, Steven. I just think this is a huge night for sim racing overall. We've seen it evolve along with iRacing and get bigger and bigger. And this is just such a momentous occasion for it to have a $300,000 payout across this entire series. To see 40 of the best oval sim racers in the world descend upon Homestead Miami Speedway, going for a $100,000 prize. I just think it's very much a huge occasion for sim racing and something I'm really looking forward to. And I think when we look at the competition level of this series, it has been incredible. This has got to be one of the hardest racing series in the world. And now one of these 4 drivers is going to come out on top.
Yeah, we started with 170,000 iRacing members, right? Only the top 40 made into this. Now we're down to our championship 4. So here they are and how they got here. It was race wins in the round of 8 for Michael Conti, Nick Ottinger, and Bobby Zielinski, and a points paying position by Ryan Luza to be the 4th and final driver in, guys. And there is no more win in, you're in, points, bonuses, none of that. The highest finishing driver of these top 4 will win the 2020 championship. And Steve, the last 2 years with this format, it has required a race win in the finale here at Homestead.
Yeah, why rules say you do not have to win, the highest finisher will be the championship. I believe the competition will make a win necessary. I think if you're not in victory lane, you won't be the champion. These 4 drivers are just so fast. I really don't know who to handicap this with, Parker. I mean, I look at those 4 names and I look at great seasons across all 4 of them. They all run well at mile-and-a-half tracks. Maybe Bobby Zielinski is, I won't call it a long shot, but self-admittedly, he feels like he needs to improve on the mile-and-a-half speed. If this was a road course, though, you could just give him the trophy already. They all have their skill sets. Maybe Nick Ottinger. I know you and him had a long conversation, been working so well with William Byron. I think he perhaps could be the favorite, but I'm not willing to handicap it at all.
No, and I think that's the thing. These 4 are so equal when you look at them. And if I had to pick one that really stands out to me, it is Ryan Luza, right? He had 3 wins in the regular season, didn't quite have the performance in the playoffs, but I don't let that scare me at all, because one of the things he did so well is have long run pace. He had ability to pass throughout the season, especially on these mile-and-a-half racetracks. So I really think, in my eyes, he could be the favorite if we had to handicap one of these 4. But where did Michael Conti just win? Oh, Texas, mile-and-a-half, right? I think, that's the sort of thing we're looking at here. The competition is so stiff that all 4 of these drivers really stack up so evenly. It's going to come down to possibly the last lap, last corner, and guess what? Last year it did. Zach Novak, Keegan Leahy, side by side, the final corner. Zach Novak came out on top. That's what I think we're going to see tonight.
Neither of those two eligible here tonight. Conti and Luz are going to be looking for second career championships. Ottinger and Zelensky looking for first. And there is a battle within a battle. We'll be focusing tonight on the championship, but for everybody else, they want to just stay in this series. The top 20 is the cutoff to stay qualified for 2021. So 10th through 15th, the drivers highlighted in green, they are already locked in. They'll be here next year. But everybody, Steve, from Chris Overland through Michael Gass and a whole lot more are going to be fighting for that yellow cut line. They just want to be here. Drivers in purple, 31st on down, already know that they'll be relegated to the qualifying series.
Yeah, you know, we talk a lot about the champion because that's everybody's goal, but the other goal is just to be invited back. You don't want to have to go down and race your way back up through, so you want to stay above that yellow line inside the top 20.
And look how big the names are back here. You got Zach Novak, our champ from last year, Casey Kerwin, the biggest streamers in all of iRacing. They're below the cut line. This is going to be a very intense race for those drivers trying to not get relegated back to the Pro Series. And that's such a tough thing, just to think that you want to just find a way to be invited back, as you said. That's a tough way to race.
Yeah, that'll keep them busy in the offseason for certain. We're ready to go racing for the 20th and final time this year in 2020. Practice and qualifying already down behind us. So let's go trackside. Let's turn up the music and let's do it one final time as we take a look at tonight's starting grid from Homestead. It is his 10th career pole for Keegan Leahy. He will bring us to the green flag this evening, but look at your championship contenders. Bobby Zelensky starts 3rd, Michael Conti in 4th, and Ryan Luza to the inside of row 3, Steve. That's P5.
Yeah, you see Dylan Duvall in row 3, Chris Shervin right there inside row 4.
The 4th of our championship 4 there, Nick Ottinger on inside of row 5, so he has a little bit of work to do, but wouldn't be too worried there. As we go back to the row 7, you see Graham Boland, Nathan Lyon fighting not to get relegated, Christian Schallner, Brad Davies, who finished 2nd at Texas last week there in the 9th row.
Your defending champ, Zach Novak at 11th. He's fighting for a transfer. Big names late in the year. Kerwin, Garrett Lowe, playoff drivers back on row number 12. You've also got the likes of Blake Reynolds, Malik Ray on row 15.
It's going to be a full field and a lot of excitement as we go back to row 16, 17, and 18. Some of these drivers, unfortunately, they know they're going to have to fight their way back into this series if they want to compete again next year.
And looking all the way back, row number 18, that is going to be how we roll from the grid here from the Homestead Miami Speedway. So as we get set, Steve, to go racing for 200 miles of sim racing tonight, let's walk us through this one, talk us to it about it as we take a look at our Asus race analysis.
You mentioned just over 200 miles. That breaks down to 134 laps. Pit window 60 to 65, 4 sets of tires, pit road speed 50. So it's 65 laps, kind of maximum on fuel. I think we're going to expect to see 2 pit stops, minimum 2 pit stops tonight out of everyone.
These races always tend to have a green flag run, so that strategy could be a factor. You take a look at the virtual weather. It's 80 degrees temperature, which makes track temps a little bit higher at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. That is all in the sim. Going to affect actual track temps. It's going to affect how much grip these drivers have. It's going to be a part of what these guys have to deal with here from this virtual recreation of Homestead. Also, take a look at our driver video wall. We have our championship 4 drivers and a handful of others that we'll be checking in with as the night goes on to ride on board with them. So Parker, we got this out of you, so I'm going to go back to Steve, and Steve will put you on the spot as we get ready to go. Parker thinks that Ryan Luz is a good spot. If you had to put money, who are you thinking?
I think Ottinger. I like Nick Ottinger. I like the consistency. I like the speed. A couple wins this season. I think he can make this his 3rd win and become the champion.
The story tonight is the championship 4, but it is 2 eliminated playoff drivers on the front row. Both Keegan Leahy and Ray Alfala knocked out in the round of 8, but they'll bring us to the green flag this evening. Pace car going to dive down at the safety of pit road at turn number 4, and we're happy that you're with us for this presentation of iRacing on NBC Sports. Field in the hands of Keegan Leahy as we say, let's go championship racing from Homestead. and 3 wide for the race lead early, but it is Luza on the very inside. He'll take the race lead at a turn number 2 on lap 2. These cars going to be all over each other. You can take a look at the top of your screen. We will track those championship 4 all night long. Right now, spearheaded by Luza, the race leader, and Bobby Zelensky, a quick move to P2.
And you saw Keegan Leahy right off the top there, who started at the beginning, or on the pole, went to the top side in 3 and 4. Bobby Zelensky was able to sort of assume the lead for a second. I think that may have been a little bit of help to his VRS friend there. They both work for Virtual Racing School, but then Ryan Luza took advantage of that and now leads here at Homestead Miami.
Luza leads, but I like the position of Zelensky. It's a nice protected place to be, both first and second. You know, that way you can kind of control a little bit of the action around you, stay out of other people's messes. There's still 131 laps to go in this race. No reason to get too risky yet.
And you can see the color coding at the top of your screen as the running order will run through. The drivers in red are those championship 4, but the drivers in blue, the drivers fighting in that battle for the relegation to make sure that they stay in this series for 2021. And of course, we mentioned that Luza won here earlier this year. It's our second trip to Homestead in 2020. Everybody else did pretty good. Clampett was, second in that race when you talk about some of the drivers who we looked to be good, but playoff guys wise, Bobby Zelensky was 8th. He's running P2 right now. And I think Nick Ottinger, Steve, knew that he needed a good run. He was only 16th in the spring. He's at 8th right now as we ride on board with Zelensky, chasing down the 53 car from P2.
Yeah, I'm impressed right now with the speed of Bobby Zelensky. As I mentioned earlier, known the road course skiing first at the Roval, but ran well both at Kansas and Texas, improving that 1.5 mile performance. Parker, the question is, can he convert those thirds into wins? That's still what I think it's going to take this evening.
Yeah, he told me that he actually worked on this setup a lot himself because he wanted to suit his style of driving. He's one of those drivers that you mentioned is so good on the road courses. A lot of times runs a wheel that's shaped like an F1 car instead of the traditional stock car round wheels. He takes a move the inside on Ryan Luza here. This is a power move.
And he's got his VRS teammate behind him, the 4-time series champion in Ray Alfala. And on the inside, a new race leader with 6 laps down. Zelensky goes to the point after he started this race in 3rd. So 2 of your championship 4 have led laps, but with Alfala sliding into 2nd there, that's going to push Luza back to 3rd and into the clutches of the likes of Leahy. You've got Duval, Shearburn, other names inside of the top 5, and some 2-3 wide all throughout the field as I see Conti a little bit further back trying to get around Shearburn in a battle for 6th and 7th.
So, Evan, one thing we need to get into, and Steve, I think we can talk a little bit about this, is what these drivers are trying to do right now, right? Because what's very important early on, especially right in the second, is taking care of these tires. What you'll see is drivers almost just backing up a little bit, trying to take care of that right front tire, because that will make you faster later in the run. As we look further back in the pack on the right side of your screen, they're not doing that. They're running 2 wide. They're not trying to take care of their tires as much, but at the front, you're trying to take care of those tires and make them last over the long run. We've already fallen off about 7/10 from the fastest lap in just 8 laps. That's a huge amount of fall off.
Yeah, I mean, the tire only has so much life, and every lap that you push it, you slide it, anything you try to ask more of the tire than it wants to do instantly, you're going to know, because the next corner you go in, Parker, as you're well aware, it's going to have less grip and less control compared to the competitor.
Well, Parker, I'll go right back to you on this. I just wanted to mention, because not everybody may be familiar with what this is, right? Sim racing and esports. And you talk about all these terms with the tires falling off. I talked about the temperature in the racetrack as well. And, everybody, I think, has some different experience with racing games that they've played as they've grown up. Talk a little bit about what iRacing does to replicate that real-life racing conditions as we watch a battle for 18th.
Right, so this is one of the most, or is the most realistic sim in the world for motorsports. And what it does is it takes all the real world variables and tries to simulate that here. And that's exactly what these drivers are going through. So they are driving around a laser scanned Homestead Miami Speedway. So every bump and crack in the asphalt is exactly as it is in real life. I can attest to that, having used this many times to get prepared for races at Homestead Miami. The cars replicate what we see in the NASCAR Cup Series in terms of how they drive, the horsepower levels, the aerodynamics, the way you try to manipulate the air driving these cars. Everything lines up with the way it would in real life, as it is a simulation. And therefore, what we're seeing here is drivers that are the best of sim racing, but that means a lot of these skills translate to what we do in real life. All these drivers use a wheel and pedals. They use the same actions we do in real life. So it lines up incredibly well. And one of the things, just like we deal in real life, is tire wear, and that's what these drivers are dealing with right now.
Parker, you talk about how much of this, competition transfers over into real life. Well, as we ride on board the 23 of Kerwin, you have to ask yourself how much of the business model has transferred over. This is on board the Denny Hamlin Racing entry from the beginning of the year with Michael Jordan's name on the side and the Jumpman logo on the hood, the number 23 car. It started in virtual reality. Well, I'm going to tell you, it turned into reality this year when they were announced to start. Denny Hamlin Racing, and it's 2311 Racing is the official name of the entry next year in the Cup Series, driven by Bubba Wallace. We know the number will be 23, so I have to ask myself, did a iRacing team just transition from the virtual racetrack to the real racetrack? It seems that way.
Hey, I maybe the first time the other way around, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they set a precedent, and I remember texting Denny back when this was coming together earlier this season, and he was telling me about making this paint scheme with Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was having to approve this paint scheme, and he was really involved in it, and I thought that was really cool. So I think, it maybe lit that fire a little bit to go out there and do it in real world, which is awesome.
To host the NASCAR teams involved behind the scenes, you talk about Denny Hamlin Racing behind him, and that's a Junior Motorsports entry. The 88 machine at Davies behind him. You've got an esports org, in G2 Esports down the line. I see the number 24 machine in there. That's Mode Motorsports. There's so many different kinds of people involved in the teams behind these 40 sim racers on the racetrack. I want you to battle between Michael Conti and Keegan Leahy, who many seem to think was one of the championship favorites in this, but had an accident in the second to last race of the round of 8, did not get a race win in the round of 8 finale at Texas Motor Speedway, found himself eliminated and out of the championship battle, and 2 of our championship 4 are going to go on by. Michael Conti makes the pass to 4th, Nick Ottinger goes to 5th, so your championship contenders now occupying 4 of those top 5 positions.
But Parker, I'm going to challenge you with this question as the driver of the group. Put yourself in the cars that are not racing for a championship. Put yourself in that 32 car right there. How much can he push this? You can't make a mistake of what's on the line for these other drivers, can you?
No, you can't. And you don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be that headline that affects those championship 4. You want to race and race hard and race your own race. But if it comes down to a situation where it's going to take a lot of risk around one of those drivers to make a pass, or they're being overly aggressive, it's better to just let them do their own thing and do your own thing at that time, because you just don't want to be that guy. And we saw it in real life where Kyle Larson many years back was actually didn't go up there and try to pass the leaders that were fighting for the championship. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. And Tim, you have more?
Yeah, Parker, we have a little bit of a change on Nick Ottinger's team tonight. Brandon Hastings is the crew chief this evening, so a little bit of a change there heading in to this final race, but they're talking about tire management. Long run in this race, save me some tires, get me to the end of this run, and look at what we can do over 134 laps here tonight to get this 25-car championship.
The William Byron Esports Chevrolet running in the number 5 spot right now. The only non-playoff car in this mix is Alfala, who runs in the number 2 spot. And you can see Nick Ottinger's last 3 finishes, enough to get him through the round of 8, was that win at Kansas. But these top 5 actually break it away just a little bit from everybody else. You can see Ottinger right up against the outside fence. And a lot goes into the practice as well, guys, as these guys get prepped. We raced for Texas only about 6 days ago. So these drivers had a very limited opportunity to get ready for this. I know Nick Ottinger had a power outage for a couple of days. Michael Conti was saying that he couldn't sleep last night. I know Ryan Luza had blistered hands, and Bobby Zelensky was completing in a virtual rallycross championship. So that's all what these 4 drivers have been going through over the course of the last week. I can only imagine how many hours and hours of testing has gone in.
And Bobby Zelensky did over 1,000 laps, he told me, in testing for this race. So that is an incredible commitment to trying to develop the setup that's in that 83 car. You mentioned the blisters on Ryan Luzzi. He posted that on Twitter, and his hand was completely red and beat up from just turning so many laps on the wheel there and trying to fine-tune that car to be good on the short run, to be good on the long run. And that is the type of dedication, Steve, that it takes to be one of the championship four, let alone try to win a championship at this level of sim racing.
Yeah, we talk about mechanical issues in real life. Well, how about mechanical issues in the sim world as well? Ottinger lives in North Carolina. That's where I live. And we had a major windstorm earlier this week. I hear he's been having some power issues throughout the week. So at some point, you have to go to your, I guess, your backup sim rig over at your buddy's house or your family's house and continue to race. At this pressure, with this much on the line, I would really want to be where I have run most of the season. Anything like that can upset it as we see a battle at the front.
And Ryan Luzzi wants to take the race lead back from Bobby Zelensky. The 53 had led for a handful of laps before Zelensky made a move on him. And they are nose to nose and side by side, working lap number 21 into turn 3. And if they stay on each other's door, the 8 machine Michael Conti could try to close in. The inside going to be better off of 4. And re-leader for the 53, it's Luzzi now, back to the top of the scoring pylon. Looks like that the 83 going to drop back a little bit, so we'll see if second, third, fourth, and on back going to get mixed up a little bit. But, you know, it's going to be awfully difficult for these drivers to pull away. That's the package, same as in the NASCAR Cup Series. It is the high downforce, so you see the 83 is Zelensky able to drop back up. These cars going to be going white knuckle all night long. We'll step aside with 22 laps done. Ryan Luzzi, your leader from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway.
For those living together and those living apart. For classmates, graduates, and teachers making the best of it. For the restaurants delivering to our doorsteps. For the frontline workers putting it on the line every single day. For this great nation determined to be stronger on the other side. Thanks to all of you, we'll be together again.
Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by Asus, the official gaming hardware partner of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, back live for the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Ryan Luzzi in the front of the field. I want to remind you to enter tonight's Asus playoff giveaway. You could win an entire setup that includes an iRacing one-year membership, an ROG Strix GT15, a Delta headset, and a gaming monitor. All that and more, go to the Asus Twitter account for more information. We're back live at the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Ryan Luza, your race leader, as we work lap number 28 of 134, and his championship counterparts run 2, 3, and 4. So at the top is all weighted with your championship hopefuls. Steve, I'll hand things back off to you because we've got a special guest on tonight's coverage.
Yeah, thanks. I do. I'm going to have the intro being the owner of the Junior Motorsports eSport team, currently driven by Conti in 4th place, running for the championship, but now newly announced executive director at iRacing. Junior, you're the only guy I know that can retire and have more jobs.
Yeah, man. The opportunities are always presenting themselves to get yourself involved in fun things. And I've been working with iRacing for a really long time, just not on an official level. And you know, I've selfishly sort of done everything I could to help them create relationships and partnerships to be able to deliver content so I could enjoy it, you know, as a customer. And so that's what motivates me. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them healthy. And so this is just a continuation of that. I think that I'll continue to do the same things I've been doing for iRacing for a long time, but it'll be more an official role. And that's going to be a lot of fun for me to work with them a little more closely.
Well, we got a lot to get to tonight. This race, we definitely want to talk about that. But I want to talk about iRacing in general. Years ago, you kind of introduced me to this platform. What was it about iRacing that just sparked your interest and your passion? I mean, for as long as I can remember, you've been supporting what iRacing is doing.
Yeah, well, the group that started iRacing and developed this product were creating games for many years that a lot of people, a big community, really enjoyed. NASCAR racing, all these different platform or different games made by a company called Papyrus of Sierra. And so it was NASCAR racing 2003, which still is a little bit of a, has kind of a little bit of an active fan base still playing that today, all these years later, 17 years later. So those same guys got together and wanted to continue developing a motorsport simulation and wanted to really create the ultimate one, not just a NASCAR-based simulation. They wanted to really be the motorsports simulation. So I remember when we were beta testing back around 2005, 2006, before the service started, and showing up as many nights as you could during the week, racing a Skip Barber around Virginia road course, and trying to break the game and trying to see what needed to be fixed. And it's come a long way, and I've really enjoyed being a part of helping them create some new partnerships and relationships, and kind of I've helped sort of introduce them and NASCAR and help NASCAR understand why this company was important to pay attention to, why they would want to do business with iRacing, why they should. It's obvious now, but back in 2008 when we had our first meeting with NASCAR, iRacing was just kind of getting started. So it's been fun being part of that process and helping them create those relationships with manufacturers and race organizations and race tracks. We've got North Wilkesboro and Nashville and soon to be Hickory, and there's a bunch of other tracks in the service now that I've had a lot of input on and helped those relationships get created. So it's been fun, and hopefully we can continue to do that going down the road.
Well, 2020 has been quite the year for iRacing and really for all of us. I mean, from having live events on Fox with the real Cup stars earlier in the year during the pandemic to here we are trying to crown a champion, racing for over $300,000 purse. $100,000 will go to the winner. Could you ever have dreamt that we'd be sitting here talking about this, watching this battle? I mean, look at this battle right here. They are nose to tail up front in this battle.
It's amazing how good these guys are. And the great thing about it is they race on the platform. So every once in a while you get to find out just how good they are and how bad you are. But, I've always felt like this was a big deal and this was important and this was special. Am I surprised they're racing for $100,000? Absolutely. But I remember back when Ray and those guys were winning $10,000 for this championship, and I was thinking this can get so much bigger and this has got so much more potential than where we are right now. So who knows what it may become one day. Maybe we'll look back on this and this will be small, or this will be the beginning of something even bigger. But the racing is obviously very good. It's a lot of fun to watch. I admire these guys because I know that what they're doing is hard to do. And they're obviously some of the best at it. So it's great to be involved in the series also as an owner. Michael and Brad Davies have done a great job this year. I've known Brad for 20 years in sim racing. He's worked at Junior Motorsports in the IT department for over a decade, I suppose. I've met a lot of great people through sim racing in that community. It's had a huge positive impact on my life, and a lot of the people that work at Junior Motorsports, probably over a half a dozen people I've hired directly through relationships that I've created on sim racing and on iRacing. So it's been awesome, and it'll continue to be positive for me going forward.
You talk about how good these drivers are. It's amazing to me. As you mentioned it, it's open for everyone. You could go on, subscribe, and race on these tracks and realize just how hard it is what these guys are doing and making it look so simple. Talk about the business model. So not only are you, my team at NBC, we cover the races together, but you also manage, you own 4 cars in the Xfinity Series, sponsorships, partnerships. Now you have this esport team as well. It must open up different avenues to perhaps introduce partners to racing in the virtual world.
It really is a great way for us to add more value to our current partners, but also create new relationships like WR1 that's on Michael's car. Wheeler, who builds these chassis, basically WR1 is a sim chassis. He was a guy that just had a great idea and a great passion for his work. I wanted to help him get his company out there. And I promised him, I said, look, if you trust me and partner with us on this car, we'll be a big part in trying to spread the word about your new business in building these sims. And it just so happened that sim racing exploded this year with COVID and everybody being stuck at home, and NASCAR doing the Pro Series, the Invitational with all the real world drivers. It was a perfect storm for a guy like Wheeler, who's trying to create this new sim company to build these rigs, and he can't build them fast enough. And so I feel like we've had a small role in that. I think that we've given him a great return on his investment for our team. And True Timber with Brad, for example, these are just examples. That's a brand, a camo brand that I'm a partner in, and they work through Bass Pro Shops. They sell about probably 80% of the camo at Bass Pro Shops. So I'm just trying to give that brand, that company that I'm a part of, a little more exposure in a place where they probably wouldn't have considered venturing toward. And I'm sure they're going to be surprised by the return. Brad's done a good job with that this year. The car looks amazing. So you see a lot of great partners on all these cars. When you look at all the cars throughout the field, you see a lot of great companies wanting to be involved in this.
There we see one of your cars right here, the 88 of Brad Davies hitting pit road. Parker, I don't know about you, but I'm a little jealous because I have 2 cars in the field. We were unable to make it to the Championship 4. We were actually unable to make it to the playoffs. Parker, I know you had a driver that made it to the playoffs but unable to move through. What do you got? Any questions for I guess we're going to call him Mr. Director now. He's got a new title.
Is that his new title?
That's what I'm calling him.
I thought he'd have a suit and tie for this, for that executive director deal there, man. I just know you're really competitive, so I know it means a lot to you to see Conti going up here and having a chance at this championship, bring that home to Junior Motorsports. You're always big on these sorts of things and going for big championships like this.
I'm just happy for Michael to have a shot. He worked so hard. Knowing him and knowing your drivers and a lot of other guys in the series, it's amazing the time and the effort they put into this, and they all know that they have to keep up that type of work ethic to be competitive. And so it's good to see your driver be rewarded for putting in all that work. And all these guys also have real jobs. They have real lives that they have to sort of split between the sim racing commitment. And it's been tough for Michael and a lot of these guys, I'm sure, to split the two and be competitive on the racetrack. So just happy for Michael to have a shot. That's all these guys want, man. When this was a big deal at the start of the year when they announced that these guys were going to be going for $100,000. I mean, these drivers, their heads were spinning at the beginning of the year with that news. So I know that the 4 guys that are here, they're shaking right now. I mean, I can't imagine what's going through their minds. Their legs and arms and hands, everything's got to be shaking with anticipation, trying just to get to the end of this race and have a shot at it.
Well, I'm going to jump in right here. Well, I'm going to jump in, Dale Jr., because the 25 of Ottinger came to pit road. So as we watch this race, you talk about the nerves. I love that. You know me and my pit strategy. That's aggressive pit strategy, breaking this thing up in thirds. You better get your man Conti on board. I like this. New tires early.
Yeah, that'll be an advantage as long as the yellow doesn't come out and it cycles. I think, these guys put a lot of work into what strategy they want to run, and it's always fun to listen to you at the end of these races and the day after talk about the guys who had the right strategy and who didn't. And it's funny to listen to your crew chief mind, even in a simulation race like this. It's funny for me to watch you sort of understand what needs to happen and what these guys should be doing. So I'm surprised that they don't call you up for the best strategy, because it sounds like that whether you're a crew chief in a real race car in the real world or on a simulation, you do a pretty good job.
Me and Chris Sherbert have had some post-race conversations. I've asked him on Wednesday, what was he thinking? Why did you pit then? I'm going to have to get on the phone. But, man, listen, it's been great having you on there. We're going to see right here the 83 of Zielinski. You see how much new tires are worth as he's easily overtaken. Ottinger's going to go right by him here without a problem. Those new tires just mean so much. Man, appreciate it. Congratulations on the new title. I hope this means you have an iRacing expense car. We'll let Steve Myers know next time we go to dinner it's going to be on him. So I appreciate you joining us, buddy.
I appreciate it. I'm just a customer that's living a dream, man. I'm still going to be motivated to have a great experience as a customer and a consumer on the product, on the service. So that's always kind of going to drive my mind toward what I think we need to be working on and focusing on. So kind of a voice for the community, if you will. But I got a lot of great ideas, and we're going to get to work.
Well, I'm excited. You've got Nashville on there. You got Wilkesboro. You talk about these pros that are on there. I can tell the fans that are listening. You jump on a midweek and evening, you might end up racing with me and Junior, Tim Duggar. We got quite the scattered group on there, but it's a lot of fun.
That's right, buddy. We'll see y'all. Enjoy the race.
There you go. Dale Earnhardt Jr., newly named executive director at iRacing.
Well, we saw the pit cycle, as you mentioned, and on board right now, Bobby Zielinski in from third, Ryan Luza in the number 53, your current race leader, also down pit road. So Nick Ottinger undercut everybody else in the championship 4. He was starting to really fall back, but you can see with those top 4, the live timing, they're dropping to the back. Michael Conti now, the next driver on deck, going to be the last of these championship 4 to pit. And lap 45, guys, talking about the strategy is basically right on the money at 1/3 distance. You'll see a faster car in the 37 machine of Challenger get through with the fresh rubber, but Michael Conti wanting to stretch this run. We questioned this same strategy, led to a race win last week at Texas to get him to this championship 4. So while everybody else is coming down, he's holding strong.
I will say, though, that the lap time fall off here in Miami is much more severe than Texas a week ago. So I do question if this long run is going to pay off for Conti. But Parker, we've seen it work. It's really all a question of when the yellows come out at this point.
It really is. And I think this is one of those moves where it's to be that much faster late in the run too, right? Because you're going to give all this time up, but you will gain it on the backside a little bit, especially if it continues to go green. What will hurt him is definitely the yellow coming out at the wrong time.
And you can see how he's trying to work the track. There's Ryan Luza unlapping himself, high side of the racetrack. That green Interstate Batteries entry, a Graham Bolin, one of the non-championship drivers that had driven his way through the field to kind of mix it up at the top 5. There goes Bobby Zielinski, and they are left and right everywhere as Michael Conti working lap 53, guys. We don't think there's enough to get to halfway, so he's really going long on this opening run, having now just completed 53 laps, but still 81 laps to go on the board. Looks like our top 12 drivers still needing to come down pit road. Go to pit road, Tim.
Yeah, Michael Conti and his team have been talking back and forth about this strategy. Let's see what they had to say on the radio.
We're not totally out to lunch here. I mean, the guys in front of you are running like the same times now.
Yeah.
Just lose a.
It's just
like
just right at a tenths.
I just have different problems at different ends of the track. I'm tight in 1, loose off of 2, tight in 3, loose off of 4, so just tight and loose off.
They also said afterwards that Michael Conti believes that he is the fastest car on the very end of this run, but he's got to get there first, and that's the struggle in the first half of this race.
Finished 11th position here in the spring race. It again is getting laps led, but there is no benefit to bonus points. It is just going to come down to the highest finisher of those four. And guys, you talk about going for the undercut. That's what Nick Ottinger did. You see on our championship 4 standings, top of the screen, he had fallen back to nearly outside of the top 10 after they were 1, 2, 3, 4 for a time. Well, by pinning before anybody else, he has undercut Luza. He's ahead of him and Zelensky. Of course, Luza, Zelensky going to try to chase him down. But I mean, Conti's really going long, and they didn't seem too confident in the car and maybe in the strategy. I wonder, Steve, to put that crew chief hat on, if this is a decision that they made because the car isn't where they want or what, but there was a lot of back and forth with the driver.
Well, I will say the greatest race teams are honest with themselves early, and you know the goal is very clear, Parker. It's a 4-man race. You know what you have to do. You know who you're racing against. No points. No, how can I run okay? It's a must win, must outrun the other 3 at least, which I think will take a win. So if you know that you were outmanned and you just don't have the car, then try something. Even if stats say it may only work 1 out of 20 times, they're looking for the 1. They're looking for the home run. They're looking for the zeros on the roulette wheel right here, Parker.
I'm right with you. I'm always loving the aggression. We've got the 2 opposite sides here. We got the early undercut aggression out of Nick Ottinger, and we've got Michael Conti here going as far as you possibly can. So you use every ounce of fuel inside that tank to go as far as he can in this run, and then try to make it up on the backside. Just to give some context, what we're seeing here is you see those faster cars go by. The fall off was well over 2.5 seconds. So when those other cars put on new tires, that means every lap they're continuing, they're 2.5 seconds faster, which is huge on the racetrack. It's like they're on rocket ships compared to Michael Conti. So it's a tough thing to do this as well, because you're seeing those cars go by you so fast. They're getting your way. You're having to avoid them. It's tough to keep consistent lap times. This is such a tough strategy to make work.
Well, if you look at Ottinger, back in 13th on the left-hand side of your screen, you see timing and soaring. He's only 13 seconds behind the leader, and that's after a pit stop. So if he could somehow find 2 or 3 more laps, Ottinger will be within 7 or 8 laps of passing Conti on the racetrack. But if Conti can find 2 or 3 more laps, could he possibly make this a one-stop race?
That's what I was wondering.
He's trying. He's with 75 to go and 60 laps down. He needs about 7 or 8 more to get to that point. And if we looked at a racer's race analysis, we didn't think it was possible. Maybe he's going to go for it. Well, we talk about how you can get involved with sim racing. Now is your opportunity to do it by going to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale. Now through December, you can get some really good deals on either new iRacing memberships, or if you're already a current subscriber, re-upping for a year or 2 years. That is iRacing's annual Black Friday sale. Again, that's iRacing.com/Black Friday sale for more information, because with iRacing, every day is race day. For more information on how to start your sim racing career, log on to iRacing.com and sign up today. Just talking about fall off, as you see Nick Ottinger in the 25. And by the way, we talk about strategy. He is the lead car of everybody who has already come down pit road. So he's the leader on this strategy. He's currently about 4 spots up on Ryan Luza. That equates to about 4 seconds on track to Luza, who's currently in 15th. But, Michael Conti's best lap was a 31.2. He's running about 33.7. So that's about that, 2.5 second of fall off. And that's why, even with about 38 seconds of total time to get down onto pit road, to get into the box and get back out for a 4-tire call, that's how at 2.5 seconds each lap, that's how those drivers have pitted or catch you to back up. We talk about the battle for the championship. Don't forget also the battle for relegation. Look how tight it is with the number 41 machine right now on the bubble. That is Dylan Duval. 3 points good to be locked into this championship for next year. The 37 machine just down. That's Christian Challenger. He needs a little bit more. And if you want to track these cars as the race goes on, they're going to be the ones that are highlighted in blue on our timing and scoring.
Ray Alfalo right here on the back of Michael Conti. Similar strategy. Seeing if these two can potentially get it to halfway, make this a one-stopper. Steve, this these tires, this is going to be very close in terms of how much falls they had compared to how much faster those cars are on the two-stopper. You pointed out, it looks like possibly by the end of this run, very closely, Nick Ottinger will be within 5 seconds or so of Michael Conti, so it's going to be very close in that sense.
Yeah, the big difference, though, is Ottinger, who is now have 19 laps on his tires, he's slowed all the way down to 33 seconds flat, so, you know, at some point, slow is slow. I mean, the leaders are running 33.8, so while he's still almost a second faster, he's not gaining the 1.5, 2 seconds a lap he did when it was new. And, oh, now
here we go.
Conti come to pit road at lap 64, so short of that halfway goal. Pretty aggressive on the pit road. We'll see. He's got to lose a tremendous amount of time to who will take over the lead eventually. There's 25 of Ottinger.
But that was, you saw the exchange there. Nick Ottinger now, the highest of your championship 4, running in position 5. But Conti and Alvala in at 65. That was with 70 laps to go. It's about 2-3 laps short, I think, of getting to halfway in this Homestead 200 and actually getting maybe to that halfway point to get there on fuel. So still waiting on more drivers to come down pit road. Michael Guest, Malik Ray, and Chris Shearburn, still drivers who have yet to come down pit road. That is why Nick Ottinger, leading the strategy of cars who have already pitted, is only in 4th on track. But to be honest, he doesn't really care about those guys. All he cares about is that he is still holding off Ryan Luza, but it is not by much. Luza and Zelensky continuing to try to reel that 25 in as we take a look at the number 51 machine of Malik Ray, one of those drivers on the outskirts of that relegation battle. Looks like he's right now minus 42. He needs a big swing if he wants to get in, as there's the number 36 of Chris Shearburn, Steve, on pit road.
Yeah, and the magic lap 67, looks to me that Shearburn has made it to the magical number of halfway. So a green flag race. I believe he's going to try to do this in one stop. Parker, I like the strategy. I like the aggression. Try something. Little Hail Mary. Let's get a win.
Classic Steve Letarte strategy right there. Be aggressive, find a way that no one else has, and why not roll the dice a little bit and see if you can make it to halfway like Shearburn just did. That looks like the owners had a bit of influence on this strategy right here.
And I'm even impressed. Guest and Malik Ray still on the racetrack as Ottinger now running in the 3rd position.
Yeah, those guys are well good because they have crossed that halfway point. So expect the number 33 and the 51 to be down pit road any minute. And when they do, it'll hand the race lead over to Nick Ottinger. As the drivers leading the playoffs are 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the moment. Michael Conti way down to 28th position after that long opening run. He's got the better tires now. He'll try to chase them down. This is not a pass-forward position. It's lap traffic as we go back to pit road with Tim.
Nick Ottinger and his crew have been lively on the radio, Evan. Let's see what they had to say about this run.
Carry the right front a little bit too much than I would like at center point right now. I could just have, a little bit more itch before that. It'd be better short run, but I'd sacrifice a little bit long run. I may be hurting myself long run here too. On the right front, just clean air here.
He also said the drive in the center was really good, guys, but he needed a little bit more coming into the corner so he could drive it in. We'll see how this run goes and see where this number 25 car ends up.
What a battle for the championship lead. There goes Ryan Luza on the inside of Nick Ottinger. He'll complete the pass for 2nd on track and take over the lead in the championship 4.
6-lap fresher tires for Luza. He pitted 6 laps after Ottinger and clear those newer tires, a big advantage. The question is, can Conti, with much fresher tires but so far behind, make up the time on the racetrack? Lap times are amazing, but he is almost the entire field behind his championship competitors.
And we heard Ottinger talk about using the right front up a little bit too much. That's just the key around this Homestead Miami Speedway. It's one of the things you'll struggle with throughout those long runs, is trying to take care of that right front, because these corners are so long. You're in them for such a long time. You are just leaning on that right front for such a long amount of time. You've got to try and not abuse it to be fast in the long run. And this is what we said Ryan Luza would be great at earlier in the day. We said he would be good on the long run. That's what he's showing here. Great pace. Even those little newer tires, Steve, he's been showing this sort of pace throughout this race.
Yeah, you see right here the 36 of Shearburn going by. That's to unlap himself. He was a lap down because he had ran so long, and you're going to see what newer tires are worth. That's easily going by the race leader. But a nice job. And you mentioned it. Luza at this point needs to just be focused on Zielinski and Ottinger. Those are the two behind him. Conti's on a completely different strategy, completely different cycle. So while he needs to kind of half pay attention to that, Parker, it's such a different cycle. I just don't think they have the ability to keep track of all four cars with one being such an outlier.
Right. We talked about, I just want to mention, Parker, we talked about the success for Luza, and, he had 3 race wins earlier this year. We mentioned the Homestead win. That came as a string of 3 wins in a row. One here, one Bristol, one Richmond. That tied a series record for consecutive wins. At that point, he was a mile ahead in the championship, and we were talking about how far was he going to pull away. But he didn't get a race win since that trip to Richmond in April. So we talk a lot about momentum. He was able to steal that final spot in, and we knew that he was going to be strong because this is a very good racetrack for Ryan Luza, of course, winning a championship by winning the race here in 2017 as well. But he didn't have momentum on his side, right? We were kind of hyping up guys like Zielinski and Conti, of course, with the walk-off. But, you can see Luza, the left-hand side of your screen, the onboard look. When you're fast, and he's having a good time right now. All those cars who had stayed out have come to pit road, so he has cycled himself back to the race lead. Championship cars, first, second, third, with Conti in 25th.
Well, being the 2017 champ, he's had a championship before. He's been through this type of pressure, but the thing that really stuck out to me was how emotional he was coming out of Texas, making it through points. He said, that was the most nerve-wracking experience he had because he just didn't feel like he had the car. And that's why he put those blisters on his hand over the last couple days, trying to get better for this race, trying to find what was missing in that Williams Esports car to come out here and challenge for this championship, because I think he believed he was not one of the top cars of these championship 4 coming out of Texas, and had to go to work and find that speed, and that's what he did. As we ride on board here with Zielinski, you can see that wheel that he has on the left. That was that F1 wheel. I love that. And then you see this concentration out of Nick Ottinger here down the backstretch. You can see all 4 of these guys just have incredible concentration as they try to get around this racetrack.
Well, they aren't boxed in like you would be in a real car where everything's basically standard, minus a couple of different driver preferences here or there. We talk about this all the time on these broadcasts, Steve, how, at home you just saw the example with Bobby Zielinski running basically an open wheel rim or wheel instead of that circular kind of stock car wheel that most of the guys will be used to. We saw this as a big note when we went road course racing. You can use the H pattern or sequential shifter. You could also use the paddles on the wheel as well. A lot of guys go racing gloves, no gloves, socks, no socks, shoes. As we take a look now with Michael Conti trying to rip his way through the field, but still back in position number 25. There is a wide range of how you set up your sim rig at home.
Oh, totally. And you see Michael Conti sitting in his WR1, I would assume. That's his sponsor. That looks like a WR1 sim rig. Looks like that seat and everything as much as monitors. 1 monitor, 3 monitors, virtual reality. I'm a 3-monitor guy. I've tried it all. None of it makes me go faster, so I just go with what I'm the most comfortable with. But these guys are so talented. They find speed in comfort. Parker, you're a race car driver. You don't want to be uncomfortable. I mean, here we are over halfway into this race, and it has been green the whole time. You have to be comfortable. You can't sit there and let it cramp up, be uncomfortable as you try to race.
Look, I have never been as wore out in my life as some of my sim races. And that means, 500 mile, 600-mile NASCAR Cup races at the Coca-Cola 600. I have not been as wore out as I have been at the end of sim races where I'm just drenched in sweat. And it's because, what's so hard about this is you lose that element of feel a little bit, right? So you're having to concentrate so hard with your using audio and using your visual senses. And that's what makes this so incredibly tough. And being comfortable is just as important in this as it is in a real-life car that you're, going around for 500 miles. One thing is we watch Bob Bryant here battling on the outside. I think that's Nathan Lyon in the 6 right now. I want to talk a little bit about something that Dale Jr. mentioned, and that is that, for all these Championship 4 that are racing for a $100,000 prize, these are just regular guys, right? They have day jobs. This is that's what's so incredible about sim racing. They're Monday through Friday, they're normal guys. Then on a Tuesday night or a Monday night like tonight, they go out here and have this chance to race at the top level of a sport. And that's just what I've always found great about this. You have Michael Conti, who works at a dealership. Nick Ottinger works for his family automotive shop as a mechanic. He told me they gave him the day off, by the way, which was really nice for him. Luza works for his family business. Zelensky is a professional sim racer who works for virtual racing school and coaches people that are getting into iRacing and want to get better. So he races across multiple different world championship series, including Rallycross and the road course Porsche series. So he's an incredible sim racer. But I just love that these are regular Joes out there that are doing extraordinary things, kind of what NASCAR is built on in its early days.
Let's talk more about some of these other cars. You can see a battle right here for the number 9 spot. Blake Reynolds is under fire by the 6 and Nathan Lyon, who's going to slide by on the inside, pull up and take that spot away. This battle some 7 seconds or so. On for the battle for the race lead. And of course, those relegation points still right-hand side of your screen, so you can keep an eye on who's in, who's out in terms of just being here in 2021. But you got a guy like that 6 machine of Nathan Lyon. We talked about all the different teams. A Roush Fenway Racing driver. You got the number 3 machine next down the road in Blake Reynolds, who's got the Coca-Cola colors on board that machine. That's the Team Dillon Esports entry. So that team owned by NASCAR Cup Series driver Austin Dillon. So you got Cup drivers, you got Cup teams, esports orgs, other people involved. And that's, still relatively new to this series. Saw a lot of them come into this championship for 2019. It was a draft to pick your drivers for that year. This year, free agency. So we saw a lot of moving around. And you can see, of those championship guys, a lot of them did shuffle around quite a bit from their homes last season.
Right.
Lyon driving in the 6 drove for me last year, Parker, and he had the opportunity to move over to Roush Fenway. I blessed it. Go ahead. That's the beauty of this series is if you can perform and you can find opportunity, that's what it's all about.
It definitely is. And, bringing in the teams, some people might wonder, okay, why have them, right? If the drivers are racing for the biggest prize and you see the influence from the real world to motorsports with Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved in real NASCAR teams and Kyle Busch with his Rowdy energy drink and that sort of thing throughout this field. And it's really, we were brought in to amplify the message, right? We were brought in because we're all passionate about seeing sim racing get on a bigger platform like it's been put on here tonight. And I think that's really been what these teams and all these sponsors being a part of this have brought to the series, is they've been helped amplify the message and prove to more people that this exists, that it's a great thing to come watch, and that if you're an iRacer out there, it's something to aspire to, right? Anyone can go and get an iRacing subscription, and within a year and a half or 2 years of hard work and dedication, having the skills, you could find yourself in the position of a Ryan Luza or Bobby Zelensky or Nick Ottinger or Michael Conti racing for a huge prize like this and prove the motorsport world that you have the skills to compete at a high level. And I just think that's what's incredible about what we're seeing here in the NASCAR series.
You talk about a high level, 86 laps complete, still not a yellow to fly. These guys are clean and green. That involves green flag pit stops, a very hard pit road to get on and off out of the banking on turn 1. Everyone was successful. And there's still, 2-3 car lengths between. This is, I believe, the 9th and 10th position right there.
And we're inside of the final 50 laps for the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. We'll step aside a pit stop for at least a majority of the field still to go. Ryan Luza eyeing a 2nd career championship. He's got 47 laps left to go.
For those living together and those living apart. For classmates, graduates, and teachers making the best of it. For the restaurants delivering to our doorsteps. For the frontline workers putting it on the line every single day. For this great nation determined to be stronger on the other side. Thanks to all of you, we'll be together again.
tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by Asus, the official gaming hardware partner of the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We're back live, working lap number 92, and we have a caution from Homestead as we slow things down. Ryan Luza had just come down pit road. We remind you to enter tonight's Asus giveaway, and you could win a whole host of Asus ROG swag, including a 1-year iRacing membership. Go to Asus_ROGNA on Twitter for more information. Back live for the virtual Homestead of Miami Speedway, and we are under caution at lap number 92, just as your championship leaders began to head down pit road. Luza was in for service, and we are now under the first yellow of the afternoon. And guys, this will really shake things up.
It absolutely shakes everything up. Not a worse break for Luza to be on pit road when the yellow came out. We'll have to wait for timing and scoring to loop through to see if he's lost a lap. But this is going to shake up the entire field, and that's going to allow the leader, the 83 of Bobby Zielinski, to pit under yellow and get service on his VRS car.
So, Steve, I think Nick Ottinger also was on pit road. Now, Conti had gotten back up to 13th. This helps him out a little bit if those guys have to come to the back. And do they decide, with how important tires have been, do you come down and maybe even just, if they had a lap or two on them, do you come down and put tires on as well, or just take the track position here? But this is really shaking things up.
I will tell you, the hardest part for me, looking at timing and scoring, is to let this sort out. I'm trying to see if Luza was fortunate enough to be on pit road when the caution came out and didn't lose a lap as the field slowed down. It's a little hard to sort out. I think I'm going to have to let it cycle, Evan, and see just where everybody shakes out.
Yeah, we know Zielinski's good. He gets 4 tires into fuel. Let's take a second look at the incident that has us under the yellow flag for the first time tonight. You're looking at the number 54. That's Alex McCollum, middle of the road. You can see some faster traffic in the 23 at Kerwood coming through. And that looked like a bit of miscommunication. It looked like McCollum was going to go low. Thought that Davey was going to go low. He turned high. The 88 turned high. And those two drivers get together. That is why we're pacing for the first time tonight.
I have to ask myself if he didn't know he was pitting, Parker.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like.
Exactly, and it looked like at the last second, Alex there, McCollum almost tried to go back up the track a little bit. Maybe he saw Davies coming in the mirror on new tires, thought, hey, maybe I should go to the middle, and Davies at the same time juked right, and they both went to the wrong spot at the wrong time. But that was definitely a bit of a miscommunication of trying to get on pit road under green flag stops.
And big news for the championship. It looks like Ryan Luza was on pit road at the moment of yellow. So the service that he got was validated. He does not lose his lead lap status, and he was able to beat Bobby Zielinski on the racetrack while Zielinski was coming out of the pit lane to the scoring line. So Luza avoids a big issue, and he'll maintain the lead in the championship. Right now, that is good enough for second on the racetrack. Zielinski leads everybody off pit road. That will put him third. Big losers, obviously Nick Ottinger back in 21st position at the moment, and Michael Conti can't play out what I think he was hoping to be a green flag run to the end, guys. He's now stuck back in traffic in 14th.
Yeah, I think Conti at this point, it's about speed. He's going to have to go, going to have to drive to the front. Lets him see a rash of yellows, which will allow him maybe to do a little different pit cycle. Not a lot of option there. You mentioned Ottinger, just a really tough break for Ottinger to lose all that track position. But talk about great timing. Luza is going to basically take the race lead over because he was on pit road at the time of yellow. That is a great break for the driver.
And he doesn't need to come back to pit road, Parker, because, again, he basically just got the fresh tires. So there is no disadvantage to not actually pitting under the yellow because, well, that yellow flag was coming out as he was getting his service.
Right, that was just huge. He never even had to use them under green, so they should be just as new as Bobby Zielinski's. You know, for Michael Conti and Nick Ottinger, this is where it's really going to be if they had been able to make any sort of adjustments in their pit stop to try and plan for being in traffic, because I know that's a big thing a lot of these iRacers do is they try to, just like we do in real life, adjust these cars to drive through traffic as opposed to being in clean air. And that's what they're really going to need to rely on, because they're going to need that speed Steve, you said to drive to this field. It's going to be really tough, though, for those two.
Yeah, the curious decision by Eric Smith here in the 9 car. He's going to stay on the racetrack with about 30 lap old tires. This is going to really stack them up. That's going to make
Not sure about this one.
Tough. Yeah, this is going to be very tough.
Well, we see Corey LaJoy do that in Martinsville, and he ended up jumping the start. So we got, if Eric could, see if he can at least be a little cleaner on the start here.
And doing what he can, we'll go on board with that Big Green Egg Ford for the restarting, and it is a non-playoff driver leading your championship 4, though. Bobby Zelensky 4th. You got Ryan Luz on the outside of the front row 2nd. Conti 13th. And Ottinger in 23rd as we come to the restart with 38 laps to go. Here comes Luza up the inside in a battle for the race lead as Smith falls off at a turn 2. The 53 goes to the race lead. Here comes Bolin now slicing in front of Zelensky. He'll take P2.
Eric Smith out of the way there. Aggressive move by Graham Bolin there into 2nd place around Zelensky. Separating our 2 championship contenders. Playing a bit of spoiler here right now between these 2.
Yeah, Zelensky lined up on the inside behind those old tires of Smith. I think that hurt him on the original start. Luza got around on the outside. He has the clean air, but with 37 to go, a lot of pressure from behind.
And no question strategy for these drivers at the front. They all now have enough fuel to go the distance scheduled, this time by 36 laps to go. So how do those non-playoff cars be a factor? Here's Zelensky to the inside of the 18 to Bolin. It'll give him the preferred position, but if he can't clear, look for Bolin to fight back out of 2. And he's not going to give Zelensky much. He wants to challenge, but the 83 does clear. So now championship cars, 1st and 2nd. Luza now getting chased down by the 83.
Tip of the hat to the 18 car, Parker. I think he could have made it a challenge into turn 3, but he understands what's on the line. He knows he had a shot as they're 3 wide behind these guys.
Right, and I think you pointed out, it's one of those moves where if he could have gotten to the lead easily there on the restart, then you try to do that, but the second it takes any amount of risk or sort of pushing the issue, you don't want to be that guy, messing with the championship. So it's better let these 2 race it out and see maybe if on the long run, if you have a vastly faster car, you can go up there and take that lead fair and square, but don't push the issue right now.
Running on board with the bumper cam off of the back of Ryan Luza. Zelensky closes off the corner. Does he sit, wait a little while? No. To the inside he goes. Side by side for the race lead. Bobby Zelensky will take it at lap 101. New race leader out of 4. Now Luza has to counterpunch.
And one thing you saw there, he almost gave it to him a little bit, right? As they went off the 3, he got side by side, and then you saw Luz almost back out. You don't want to be in that outside lane too long. That's only going to hurt your tires. It's going to hurt that right front. You've got to take care of these cars. We could be going green to the end as we see in this race, huge amounts of green flag running. You don't want to abuse these tires unnecessarily. If you think maybe, as we see now, Luza, you could have that speed later in the run, let Zelensky maybe use up his stuff a little too much right now.
I asked myself about the development work. We talked to Zelensky. He told you, Parker, that he had run 1,000 laps this week. Over 1,000 laps here at Miami preparing. That was mind-blowing when I heard that, 1,000 laps. But the question is, in what type of preparation, right? Did he run full fuel runs? Did he run different setups and see which one held on better with the front tires? We're just going to have to see if it pays off.
And the relegation points on the right-hand side of your screen once more. Well, one of those Williams Esports cars is fighting for the championship in Luza. The other is in a dead heat for P20 in the points with Dylan Duval. Again, only the top 20 stay in this series for 2021. The bottom 20 in the points get sent relegation, and they'll have to re-race their way back into this through the qualifying series. And here's a look at Nick Ottinger back in traffic. He was the one who went for the very early undercut early in this race and then kind of fell back late. I think the 25 team needed a little bit more, even if we didn't have that yellow, guys, but the timing really hurt him. He's picked up 5 spots since the restart, but P18 is well short. What he needs is there's smoke, spin in turn 1, and we have a caution. It may have been, was that McCollum or Tian that caught that car, the 66 car? It might have been Jarl Tian.
I'll have to wait for the replay here, but definitely heads up call there by Steve Lachart, seeing the smoke, and I'm sure Nick Ottinger was thinking the same thing as he saw that smoke in front of him down into turn 1 here.
And I think Michael Conti, when we get a second look at this, is going to be counting his blessings. Let's watch. There's Tian, the 46 of Jimmy Mullis on the bottom, and then 3 wide with championship contender Michael Conti. Right there's the hook, the spin. It's a good save by the 66 to straighten it out, but man, was Conti so close to being involved.
And the stress level is now rising for these drivers and crew chiefs. There was a limited number of tires. You know, they don't have endless sets. We know they put on at least 1 set under green. Most put on a second set on that yellow. Now the question is, with, you know, what is it, about 25 laps to go? What is that, 29 laps to go? Do you put on your 3rd set of tires with most of these guys having 12 laps on them? Oof.
And that would be their 3rd and I believe final set of additional tires. They are looking in, a bit of hesitation, but Zelensky on pit road. Luza will follow him on pit road. What are the other championship cars doing? Michael Conti stays out. He does not come down to pit road. Nick Ottinger in the 25 also deciding to stay out.
I think that is the absolute perfect decision for these 2 race cars. They didn't have track position. So at some point, Parker, you have to do something different than the leaders. You're trying to win a championship. We say it all the time. Be honest with what you have. Continue to figure it out. Let's take another look right here at this accident. 3 wide. We're on board right here with Conti, and this is going to be right in front of him. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I would have been nervous. I'm nervous, and I'm not him.
It was, I love this call. I love it. I say, why not? You know, you're in this position. You worked all year to get here. You worked for years to get in this position. Why not take a chance? Roll the dice a little bit. Do something different than the other 2 that had the track position on you. I love this call by Conti and Ottinger.
So, Parker, let's talk about how this call works for Conti, because I don't think it works where you go 28 green and you just happen to have track position, you lead this race. I don't think there's any way they hold off 10-lap pressure tires. I think it works if we run 15 laps or so, 10 or 15 laps, and have another yellow. That way, Conti has fresh tires to put on with 10 or 15 laps to go to use them. I think that is what Conti is hoping for.
When taking a look as we get set to restart this race, I want to remind you once more to get in on iRacing's Black Friday sale now through December. If you go to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale, you can get some good deals on either new iRacing memberships or renewals if your account is coming up for a renewal. So again, that's iRacing.com/Black Friday sale. For more information, it's running through the first couple of days of December, so make sure you get in on that one, because with iRacing, every day is race day. So the cars who pitted, Bobby Zelensky, Ryan Lewis, have both taken a 4-tire stop, so they are now out of tires. They're going to be on those sets of virtual Goodyears till the end of this race. And while yes, they are leading all the cars who pitted, guys, right now that puts them 19th and 20th on track. We talk about Conti maybe getting the advantage of track position now, another yellow, maybe use up his 3rd and final set on pit road in a bit. If it were to go green, is 19th and 20th too far back? Because the tires for the cars who stayed out are only about 15 laps old. We know there's a lot of fall off, but it's certainly different than, you know, the differences we were talking about at the end of full green flag runs.
No, I really think it comes down to the restart, Parker, right? I mean, I talk about 3 laps, right? If the 83 of Zelensky can make laps early, then he has a chance. Michael Conti, Steve Letarte here in the booth. We've been watching this. I love this gamble, staying on the racetrack, saving a set of tires. What's the thought? Clean air, or are you trying to think maybe another yellow and then use some tires?
Well, Steve, I watched you and Dale run a lot of contrary strategy over the years, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. But with the speed that we had, we weren't going to win it that way. So we've done the alternate all race. So just hoping for a caution in about 10 laps here, put the last set of tires on it, and I think that's our best bet at this point.
Well, Michael, I love a student of the game. I love this call. I think you're absolutely right. That is your best chance, man. That wreck in front of you had our breaths, man, taken out of us. I'm not going to bother you. You're coming to the green with the championship on the line, man. So good luck. Just 25 laps to go here when you take the green.
Thanks, man. Enjoy the show.
Steve, that guy knows how to get right to your heart.
I mean, I can tell you right to my heart, and I'm more wound up than him. He sounds like he's on a Sunday drive with a cup of coffee. How are these guys pulling it off?
I guess you need that, right? Calm and cool under pressure. We'll try it again to put the second yellow of tonight's race behind us. It'll be a restart with just 25 laps to go. Your race leader is Zach Novak. Michael Conti third, the highest of the championship four.
That was all about Conti understanding he's on old tires and Zielinski trying to make his new tires work deep in the field.
They are mired in traffic at all ends. Even Conti here. Oh, we got another caution out.
Yeah, Conti didn't want to see that, I don't think.
A lot of smoke back there. Yeah, that's too early. You know, Conti said it, Steve. You're right on the money talking about it. He needs it at about 10 laps or so. And this is what you get, right? Just like in real life, late race cautions, yellows breed yellows. And it may be a lot of the stop and start late in this race, especially when you got those guys on fresh rubber trying to get around cars with old tires. You put that car into maybe a 3 or 4 wide situation that it doesn't need to be in. And well, that's the second incident that Jarl Tien, I think, has been involved in tonight, but way back in traffic. So I don't think any of our championship 4 drivers were involved. Let's look.
Oh. Just a bit of, oh no.
And he got pushed around that whole straightaway. It looked like the top side checked up a little bit. There was a bit of contact there. And then I think he thought it was okay. But because he checked up to avoid that park, he saw those cars come flying up on the inside and maybe being a little bit too polite for the cars behind him who weren't willing to kind of cut as much of a break as maybe he did.
Well, similar to real life, the restarts in this series are so important to try and get extra positions, try and get that track position. And one of the things you'll see is especially a bit of bump drafting. You'll see guys pushing each other, trying to accelerate harder and push those in front of them. And then sometimes you get big runs like you saw there, and you just go with any hole you could find. And then those holes close up. So I think it's what we saw there. But I looked at the timing scoring as we reset here. Bobby Zielinski moved up a couple positions. He got to 15th just in that quick little restart. Ryan Luz, on the other hand, back in 23rd, did not make any progress. So this is, we're seeing a little separation of those two. I think we got Nick Ottinger here. We're going to get down into his car, get on the radio with you. Hey, Nick. You're in 9th. I like the move here to save a set of tires. You were back a little bit behind the other 3. What's the plan with this saving a set of tires?
Go to the front, man. Look in the windshield. Hey, just no mercy out here. Not give a lot of people any room. Just battling out here for your championship with our Logitech G team. And I mean, it's got a little ill time with that caution. This one kind of going in our favor a little bit, but now we get a caution after a 10-lap run again, and maybe a bigger outcome for us here.
What about your speed? You know, we saw you fall back a little bit from the other 3. What do you feel like the speed is inside this race car? Have you been able to make it better through the race?
I mean, I feel real solid short run, man. I mean, it's kind of coming down to what I thought it would be, like a 20-lap sprint, 25-lap sprint, and tried setting up for that a little bit. And I mean, can't bank on any tire strategy, stuff like that. But I mean, it's fast. Got a fast William Byron Esports machine, thanks to our thank you for putting our work in this week, all our challenges this year, and we got 20 laps left. Same thing ain't over, buddy.
I love it. I like the concentration. We'll let you get back to it. Get focused on this restart here, but definitely, I like the moves here. Steve, I like the the aggression and the idea of, hey, why not? Why not put yourself in this position that Nick Ottinger's in, thinking, I'm looking forward, I'm looking through the windshield, not what's happening behind me.
I like the aggression. I like the honesty. I mean, it's so often that we see someone just hold on to too much hope. And at some point, you have to understand where you stack up and what strategic moves gives you the best chance. I like it. I really like the position of all four. I guess you could do that when you're not racing in it and you're commentating it. You can kind of hedge your bets and not pick any of them with 22 to go. All right, Michael Luza, we've seen a split in strategy. You got some new tires, but that quick start, quick caution seemed to be a little costly for you back there in the 53, back in 23rd. How do you feel about your cars? Look good all day.
I don't know, I'm not feeling good. Bobby has a short run car and we just needed to go green. It took me till about lap 20 to get him, so we have to go green here, and I lost 7 spots to him on that restart. So not looking good, and I don't think we're going green. So we'll see what happens. Pretty much anything can, but that caution really screwed us, so we had it locked up.
Well, buddy, good luck. Good luck. 21 to go right here. We're going to be keeping our eyes open. These restarts get crazy.
Yeah, it looked like it was his right before we had these late race yellows, and they were both next to each other back in 20th position for the last restart, but Bobby gained 7. Ryan actually lost a few, so that's how the running order shuffles up. Michael Conti's 3rd, Nick Ottinger is 10th, Bobby Zelensky back at 15th with fresh tires, along with Ryan Luza in the number 23 spot. Pace car down and in. Let's try it again. It'll be a restart with 20 laps to go from Homestead. It's Zach Novak in control. A lot of blocking all the apron into one. That was Conti trying to protect the low position, and Shearburn following suit as Conti now side by side with Michael Guest for 3rd on the racetrack.
It was another slow restart for him. He had the same situation the first restart there. Now he's playing a lot of blocking moves, just trying to hold on to track position, keep cars between himself, Ottinger, and Zelensky, who's coming on new tires right now.
Working hard, but he's got a whole row of non-playoff cars lined up top. There, 33. Malik Ray now down to the inside of the racetrack as Conti forces his way to the outside. He falls to P4. He'll hold that spot for the moment. As we take a second look at those relegation points as they run on the right-hand side of your screen, Conti currently leading the championship.
There's the relegation, as you see Michael Conti right there in the 8. Well, the 83 is only a couple spots behind him, but look at this traffic jam. 4 wide on the front stretch in Miami.
And that's Luza on the very inside of the 4 wide into 1. You can see the red numbers on the roof of that 53 Ford, and all the slow cars are blocking the racetrack. Now 3 wide down the back straightaway as he is trying to chase down other drivers. 4 wide again into turn. So little room. Luza trying to catch up to those lead cars, but up front, Bobby Zelensky side by side with Michael Conti at battle for 3rd, at a battle for the championship lead, and the fresh tires for Zelensky. He'll go to 3rd.
And one of the cars you saw Luza go by there was Nick Ottinger. He got forced to the outside, was falling back, so it hasn't worked for him. They've gotten by him, and now Zelensky leading the championship for Conti will probably fall victim here to Luza any second, and now it's up to Ryan Luza to try and cut through this traffic as fast as possible. Try and get 2 at a time to keep up with Bobby Zelensky.
Yeah, and now when you look at Conti, Conti's thinking 3 or 4 more laps, and let's get a yellow. Let me get that last set of Goodyear tires I have in my pits. The other cars don't have them.
On board with Ryan Luza, that's Michael Conti. You just briefly saw out the driver's window down on the left-hand side as he's going to look to pass him, and now clearing him. That pass was for 7th and 8th, so obviously Conti and Ottinger on the back foot. They stayed out, didn't take tires, and the fresh rubber now paying dividends as it looks like Zelensky going to go all the way to the top of the board with those fresh tires. So new race leader Zelensky. We talked about Luza losing those 7 spots at last restart. Right now, he is in 5th. I think it's going to be a tall order to reel that 83 in. With all the traffic, he'll go to the inside on Novak. That battle going to be for 4th.
And one of the drivers he's going to have to go by there is Bobby Zalenski's teammate there, Ray Alfala, and his Technical Alliance friend there, Keegan Leahy in the 32 for Denny Hamlin Racing. Those two work together. They both work at Virtual Racing School. So this is two cars that Luza's gonna have to go through that have an affiliation with Bobby Zalenski that probably won't make it so easy on Ryan Luza to get up there.
On board
with this 53 car, Steve. Let's see how difficult do these two cars, Leahy and Luza, make it, or I should say Leahy and Alfala make it on Luza as he chases them down.
Well, I think that, he has to get in position to force them to make it difficult. Right now, they're running their own race very clean. 3 car lengths in front of Luza, you see, not really gaining.
But the one thing they are doing, Steve, is creating dirty air, and that just makes these cars tighter. It makes you abuse those tires more. Not the problem for Bobby Zalenski right now. He can take care of those tires, make it better on the long run. We know Luza wanted it to go long. He wanted the longest run possible. That's what his car's strength has been being able to conserve those tires and have the speed late in a run. But what's in every long run, Steve?
Yeah, a short run, and that's where Luza's got to get beat. 2 short runs, too many spots. So let's set the stage as we take a look. Zalenski leading, Luza trying to run him down in 4th. Conti all the way back in 12th. Ottinger back outside the top 15. Conti and Ottinger need a yellow to put the last set of Goodyear tires on. Zalenski leads. Luza the chaser. 12 laps to go for $100,000.
Bobby Zalenski looking for career race win in this series, number 9, but a first career championship. Luza looks at this point he'll need to win a race. He'd be in search of career race win number 16, which if he could do it would tie him with championship contender Nick Ottinger for 16th. 16 race wins, that's second on the all-time list. And of course Luza notably looking to become a 2-time series champion. They are close, but Luza is not challenged from behind because here comes Mullis. And the 53 can't just look up the road, he's got to look behind him. The Coke Energy Toyota Jimmy Mullis for Richard Raceway Esports joining the party. Your top 5 cars within half a second.
As we see Alfala looking the inside of Keegan Leahy, they'll get side by side. Create a little bit of a draft there for Ryan Luza. I think that could help Luza if he can sort of get up right behind Alfala as he tries to make that pass, and Leahy could get by Leahy and get him just 1 car between him and Zalenski as we come towards the final 10 laps.
Right now, almost like parking the bus in a battle for second, but on the inside now, Alfala will clear the 32. So it is Team VRS running first and second. Luza trying hard. He parked it on the quarter panel of the number 92 machine, 32, I should say, of Leahy that time, but he will make the pass in turn 4. So now Luza up to 3rd, chasing Zalenski with 8 laps to go.
And Ryan Luza was quoted as saying he would have last year when Leahy to the bottom there, force him up into Ray Alfala. A little bit of contact even. He was quoted saying he would have wrecked that Zach Novak for that championship last year. He's probably going to have to move Alfala the way here if he wants a shot at Zalenski.
This is what Luza needs. He has to clear the 2 right here. Has to get in front of Alfala. Has to get the clear track between him and the leader. Can he do it off turn 4? 8 laps to go. Now 7 laps when they get to the line.
And I'm not sure this is really how he wanted to set it up, right, Parker? You caught that he threw a big block on Leahy. That kind of put him to the inside of Alfala, pushed up and into his door. Lucky they didn't clean both of those race cars out, and he just can't get around the 2. And Ray, of course, teammate to the race leader, is not going to give Luza anything here.
This is where Luza has to use that door. Use the white tie right there. He moves it out of the way. Alfala on the wall. Now it's clear track to Zalenski.
There was contact in turn 3. Alfala got loosened up, went into the outside wall, and now Luza moves into 2nd with 6 laps to go. Contact behind. Leahy all kinds of out of shape, but he'll catch that after contact with the 2.
Luza wanted a long run. He thought he had a better run car over the long run. 6 laps to go. Can the 53 of Luza find a way past Zalenski
I think he's going to have to use maybe even a little bit of bumper here if he wants to get by. These two have been so equally matched, maybe losing a little better on the long run, but they've been so close throughout this entire race, running the same line. Maybe peek the inside here.
Shut the door on him. Luza trying to look to the inside. Now he sits on the bumper in turns 1 and 2. I think Luza a little bit faster right now, but can he touch off at turn 2? Luza gonna look to the inside. Zelensky another block down into turn number 3. It is all on the line for $100,000. It'll be 4 to go this time. Zelensky slides. Luza side by side.
And look at the hands on Zelensky. He's swatting flies right there on that sim wheel, trying to hold this car on the racetrack and keep it going for momentum. Luza looks like he might be able to clear him off turn 2.
It's his new race leader, Ryan Luza, down the back straightaway. Now a roll reversal. He'll block to the inside. It's now Zelensky. Oh, and he'll turn. Zelensky takes out Luza at 3 laps to go, and we have a caution.
Racing was just so close, Parker, inches apart. You saw the reaction live from Zelensky. That's the driver to the top on the left side. You could just see unbelievable. He had no, I think, intent to get into losing. You see the disappointment on the bottom. Luza gets turned around. Everything on the line.
It was an incredible battle. Two of the best in the world going at it, inches apart, lap after lap. Eventually, something had to give, and you could see it. As you said, Bobby Zelensky obviously devastated to have done that. He's a very clean racer. He's a hard racer, but he's someone that really respects the game, respects his competitors, and Ryan loses the same way. You know, losing that chance at $100,000. He had him cleared here off of turn 2. It looked like he was in a great position. He threw a block a bit down the inside. Then as it came down to turn 3, had to move up to make the corner, and the two just came together. Oh, devastating.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you put that on. I think that Zelensky was looking for corner entry. I think Luza was arcing up the racetrack looking for corner entry. I think there was a lot of intent for hard racing, no intent for an accident. They were side drafting inches apart. What a battle we just saw right there, though. It was unbelievable. The question now on the green-white checker is old tires or Zelensky.
There we go.
Conti and Ottinger can put on their last set of Goodyears. Is there enough time? Will we get multiple green-white checkers? Can they find a way through traffic?
They're getting the fresh tires now, guys. It looks like as they run, Conti off pit road in 16th position. Granted, Luza is ahead of him, and Ottinger in 18th. That's going to be a tall order for just 2 laps. You're on board with Bobby Zelensky. This is when Ryan Luza cleared him, went to the inside to block. Now right here, he'll go high, set up for the corner. Luza goes to block, and that's right when Zelensky went to turn back into the corner that he hooked the 53 car.
That is the definition of a racing incident. It's just two drivers going at it, fighting for the same piece of real estate at the same time with $100,000 on the line and not even inches or centimeters to give. And that's what happens. Two guys, as you mentioned, Steve, Luza had to come up to try to get the entry into the corner. Zelensky had already turned down for his entry, and the two met in the middle.
So all that drama, and we're not done yet, because again, the fresh tires for everybody 14th on back. Again, it is Conti 16th and Ottinger 18th, the drivers that we're worried about, and it is going to be attempt number 1 at a green-white checkered. Here's one more look, this time from high above.
So I really watched the line of the 83. You're going to see him go up a little bit and then start to turn in the corner. At the same time, Luza comes up. I can't wait to hear from the two drivers involved, but as an analyst, Parker, I call that racing. I'm not willing to point the finger of the blame at either guy. That is what's called tough racing on the biggest stage with everything on the line. And they put a show on, did they not? For 2 or 3 laps, they ran closer than we've seen these cars run.
100%. That was awesome. That was some of the best racing we have seen all year in the eNASCAR series, in NASCAR as a whole. I mean, that was just incredible racing, an incredible battle from these two drivers at the top of their game, going for a huge prize, and the two came together, unfortunately. And I think when we do get to speak to them, these are two hard racers that also, just as I said, really respect the game. They respect each other, what they put into this. They're competitors. They want to race it out fair and square, and they were doing just that. It's just an unfortunate meet in the middle there, fighting for the same real estate.
So the question now, though, is can Zelensky put that behind him? I know he's upset. I know he didn't want to be in an accident. We saw the reaction on his face, but here we are, a green-white checker. Can he possibly put the laps together to win? I like where Conti is on fresh tires in the outside lane, Park. Go to the top. I think he could climb the banking into one, and we are talking they are going to come in bundles. Positions will come in bundles. I don't know if you will get to Zelensky, but I'm telling you, if I'm any of these guys on old tires, I'm getting out of the way. I want no part of this 8 car.
Yeah, you basically, if you're any of these guys in the outside lane, just be prepared for 8 car to your outside, because he's going to go to that wall and fly around most of these cars here on older tires. I don't know. I don't think just a couple laps is enough to get up there, but he might make a couple and have another shot at it.
But Evan, we can have more than one shot, right? I mean, we can have multiple shots at a green-white checker.
Attempt number 1, and remember, for the championship, not necessarily the battle for the race win, just a battle to be the highest of those championship 4. Pace car in, Bobby Zelensky, 2 laps from a championship, green-white checkered. On board with Michael Conti, fresh tires, going to get through traffic, there's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. You see other cars in the middle there, the 16 using that fresh tires, moving up. Look how many positions, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots down the backstretch.
There was Ottinger through the middle. He got blocked. He had nowhere to go. They were 4 wide in front of him. Now for Conti, he's got to make a decision here as he comes off turn 4. They're all over the place.
And there's nowhere to go but a caution just short of the white flag. We will go again, and this could be huge for Conti and Ottinger, who are now up to 11th and 12th. Bobby Zelensky about 200 virtual feet from a white flag and making this race official, and overtime instead will continue.
Parker, I can't handle this. This is too much. Too much for me.
This is intense, very intense. So, Conti has not been getting the best restarts there. Nick Ottinger had a little better restart, had a better lane. He eventually got going off the backstretch. We're going to take a look here at the caution light. So you see the wreck off turn 4 here. Now as the leaders are approaching the line, and there goes our caution light before they get to the line.
That's what, a half second, you think, real time?
Very close. Very close.
Unfortunately, Evan, and Parker knows this, I have learned this lesson many ways, but they only give the trophy at the checkered. I've led a lot of white flags, I've led a lot of close twos, I've led a lot of should haves, but you have to get it all the way to the checkered.
And those cars on the freshies, they were back at about 18th or so position, as I mentioned. They made their way halfway there. And interested, we went on board with Conti there. Ottinger's actually ahead of him in the running order. Let's take a look, though, at what happened. You can see your playoff cars just ahead of this. I see 4 wide. There's a touch with Nathan Lyon. I think that's the 16 into the fence. And right there, Jarl Tien, the number 10 machine, also involved. That's Justin Bolton. What a rotten night for the 66 team, as there was your yellow, and we will go to attempt number 2. Zelensky's cushion over those cars on fresh tires, guys, basically cut in half now.
Well, and the other concern for Zelensky is Chris Sherburne in 3rd is on brand new tires. Chris Overland in 5th are on brand new tires. Eric Smith in 10th on brand new tires. I say that because I don't think Zelensky can control this race regardless, as close as fresh tires are to them.
Then that makes it incredibly hard as we go on board here. Nick Ottinger, there's his championship rival, Conti, right in front of him, down to turn 1. Now here's where he went to the middle. It looked like he was in a game, a ton of positions. He was making up spots easily through the center here, shortest distance compared to where Conti was. But then right here, he's blocked, nowhere to go. He's going to try and bump a little bit. Then he gets behind Nathan Lyon and down in turn 3. This is where I think we'll see him move Nathan. Yep, there he goes. Just gets him out of the way. He has a shorter distance around here. And this is how, as the caution comes out right behind him, or at least the wreck happened, he got ahead of Conti, making up all those positions in just half a lap.
That might have been the touch that kicked that off, guys, because we saw Lyon going up the hill. It was probably that move to the inside by Ottinger, basically 2 tires on the apron.
Yeah, and the concern right now is I don't see any way Bobby Zelensky wins this race. New tires, just one row behind them, Parker. I don't think it's possible with those old, what do they have? They have 28 laps on those tires versus 2 lappers at Homestead, Miami.
No way.
There's no way he can hold off those new tires. So now how does he accelerate and how does he get back in position? When those new tires go by him, can he get back in position or will he be out of position, and will that allow Ottinger and Conti to find the track they need to win a championship?
Left-hand side is your running order. The red drivers are the drivers fighting for the championship. The drivers highlighted in blue. Look to the right-hand side of your screen. The drivers who want to stay in this series for 2021. A lot of big names right now in the negative that would have to requalify into this, including the defending series champion and Novak currently being scored in 24th. So I feel like I've said this a couple of times, guys, but let's reset again for attempt number 2 at a green-white checker to finish. It is Bobby Zelensky's 33-lap-old tires up front. Remember, as you mentioned, Steve, fresh rubber for Shearburn, Overland, and Smith. But the battle is not for the race win. It is just to stay ahead of Nick Ottinger in 12th and Michael Conti in 13th on fresh tires. I think if we did it that last attempt, Zelensky had enough space. But 12th and 13th only equates to 6 and 7 rows behind. Going to be awfully tight.
So this will be one of the toughest restarts of Bobby Zelensky's life because, as you mentioned, Evan and Steve, he's on those older tires. The new tires are going to swamp him, and what he has to try and do is not lose time as he's getting passed by these cars with new tires and try to keep just any amount of cars he can between himself and Conti and Ottinger who are coming on those new tires. This will be incredibly tough. It's a lot tougher than holding off cars that are in similar tires as him.
Lights off for the pace car. Bobby Zelensky going to lead the field back to green for green-white checkered attempt number 2. Back underway, and it's a good jump for the 83. He'll lead to turn 1.
He has control into turn 1, but you see that 36 of Shearburn on the new tires. Look at the speed right around the white line. He's going to easily overtake the 83.
The new race leader, it's going to be Shearburn down the back straightaway, but where's Ottinger? He's up to 8th. Conti still stuck P12. This time, no, we can't get to the white flag. Another caution behind. We will go to a 3rd attempt. Brandon Cattell is on his roof in turn 4.
That would necessitate a yellow.
The pressure keeps building. And this is going to be even tougher. There, he was the control car. He was able to get that jump. You saw that allowed him to sort of be in a good position where he could find himself allowing those cars to go around him and have that space. He won't have that luxury now.
The race winner in the season finale has been the champion for the last 3 years. Ryan Luza in 2017, but most recently under this format. Ray Alfala in 2018, and Zach Novak last year in 2019. But it is that fresh tire call for the 36 of Chris Shearburn that has him in position to kind of be the spoiler tonight and take home the checkered flag and the win in this 20th and final race of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign. It would be a great move for the 36 team. He'll have Overland on the outside of row 2, close with fresh tires. But Eric Smith gains on that restart to 8th. Guys, Conti gained nothing. It is actually down in 13th. So now Ottinger only going to be on the 4th row for this restart.
Yeah, I think, first of all, Chris Shearburn, very proud of him, drives for Letard Esport. This is his 2nd year with the team. He's been carrying those mane and tail colors. Veteran. I think he perhaps has more starts than anyone in this series. Been around for a long, long time. Just had a frustrating year. Let's take a replay back at this action that's going to bring out the yellow. Look at the 3 and 4 wide. I mean, there's no telling yellows continue to come. There's just not enough real estate. And we're going to see the 14 right here. I think there's going to be contact into turn 3. Yeah, there it is. You see contact across. 14 goes for a big ride on the roof.
And that's bad for Busa there. Matt Busa in the 5 car got turned because he came in here right on the cut line for relegation. We'll have to see how the points stack up at the end of the race.
Something else to note, we mentioned that you need to get to the white flag. Bobby Zelensky may be hoping for some more chaos because as we go to green to white checkered attempt number 3, this will be our final attempt at the restart. So it doesn't matter if we get to the white or not. If it's either a yellow or the checkered, that's when this race will end. So maybe ideally for Zelensky, guys, if he doesn't feel like he can hold off a charging Nick Ottinger from P8, he'd love it if those guys at the back wadded up soon. They could wreck 5 feet past the start-finish line for the restart. If we get another yellow, this race is over because this will be our final attempt at a restart.
Yeah, that's really, I think, what Zelensky's hoping for at this point. It's just a yellow and end it. Take the pressure off him. If not, he's going to have to drive the best 2 laps of his life on old tires. Not worrying about the 36 for the race win. Not worrying about Overland on new tires. As you point out, this is about a championship, and the championship is between Zelensky and Ottinger back in 8th, Conti back in 13th.
And talking about drivers up and in the mix, I believe, Steve, that your driver's on the radio with us from P1.
Chris Shearburn, man, what a call. Save that set of tires and then got through traffic. Looked pretty good here in this final attempt.
Yeah, hopefully we get one good restart here. We can pull this off. I don't know. My luck hasn't been too good in this series so far, so I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I mentioned your luck hasn't been very good. Talk about the balance, though, of racing for your season, racing for your sponsors, but also trying to be as polite as possible for those racing for the championship.
Yeah, I've been trying to give them room. I haven't had a really good car. I've had about a 15th place car tonight, and I've been around all of them, I think, at least once. So I just try to race them hard, but give them space when they need it, and just hope it all works out. I don't want to negatively impact anything, but I'm still out here to try to win, obviously.
Well, man, you've drove a great race. You've called an even better race. You've put yourself in position. At some point, the horseshoe has to fall your way. I've been watching all year. It has been an uphill battle, man, but great run so far. Hopefully you could close it out here. Good luck in this last restart.
All right, thank you.
Always good to interview your own driver, Evan. Always good.
Well, Parker got his earlier this year, Steve, so I think you were due.
I could say, even having my driver on the front row for a win, I'm more nervous for Zelensky. I'm way more nervous for Zelensky and what's on the line for this championship. I would love to see that 36 go to victory lane, but I just want to see a clean race, an opportunity to race between the 83, the 25 of Ottinger, and Conti back there a few rows.
He's on the outside of the front row. He has the lead, but of course it is fresh tires. Nick Ottinger on the outside of row number 4. This is our final attempt at an overtime restart. Green flag flies. Shearburn leads to 1. Let's see what Bobby Zelensky can do from second. It's Ottinger up the middle. He'll try to go 3 wide.
He's so close he can see him. This is the lane that he used 2 restarts ago to get a ton of spots. Where does he decide to go here on King Lady? To the outside.
It's opened up for him, trying to close in side by side with Leahy. Here comes Nick Ottinger with fresh tires in turn 4. He'll slice to the inside, side by side for the championship lead. White flag.
Let's see what Zelensky, if he has any counteract. Nothing. He just doesn't have the grip to fight off Nick Ottinger as he starts to get away from him.
The strategy called to save a set of tires. Multiple green-white checkers. The 25 of Ottinger in position to win a championship.
Been in this series for so many years. Right now, it's good enough for 4th on track. Shearburn going to be the first out of 4. He'll win the battle, but it is Nick Ottinger who wins the war. Nick Ottinger, the 2020 eNASCAR champion. In his 150th career start in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, that puts him 6th and now 5th actually on the all-time start list, is now $100,000 richer, and you can see, guys, as overcome with emotion.
He puts so much into this. Nick is a great guy who just puts his heart and soul into sim racing. Got linked up with William Byron earlier this year and just puts a lot into this, and he knew you can just see how much it means to him to get this championship.
This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Talking about good stories, how about the burnout for Chris Shearburn, race winner, and now the family has joined Nick Ottinger. I saw his William Byron Esports teammate come up and congratulate him on the back straightaway. And, well, the $100,000 is one thing, guys. I mean, that is life-changing money for Nick Ottinger. He now gets to do his burnouts, but for a guy who has been such a long time forced to be reckoned with at this level of sim racing, we talk about how difficult it gets to perform at this level year over year. For one of the veterans to get the job done, I think maybe is just as rewarding.
Yeah, that emotion has nothing to do with money. That emotion right there is all the hard work, the years and years of work paying off with the championship.
Let's take a look at tonight's winning moment. It's brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, is our Coca-Cola move of the race. And it was right here to the inside on that number 87 machine who's going to be up the road. This was coming to 2 laps to go, now looking for the white flag, and he's going to catch him, guys, in 3 and 4.
It was a great move using these new tires. He just picked the right lanes through the center there, and then he could see Zelensky. At this point, he knew he had to make the move quick and decisive. He does. He turns to the bottom. Zelensky had no way to find him off on those older tires. Nick Ottinger was able to take the win.
Tried to fight back. I mean, right there was a move to the inside, but Kane Cook, also a driver, coming through the field with fresh tires, unable to hold them off. And then in the most worthless battle for position all year, fighting for third with the nine of Eric J. Smith, let the number 9 car go, make sure he had established positioning, and came off with turn number 4 as the 2020 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. Let's talk with our champion, Steve. You're on the radio with Nick.
Nick Ottinger, Steve Letarte, congratulations. You're a champion. Simply, what does this mean so many years racing for this moment?
It's great, man. Obviously overwhelmed with emotion, but just great to have a good team behind me, man.
Congratulations. It's obvious what it means to you. Tell us what it means to drive for William Byron. We saw your family in the room. We know it takes so many people for this moment.
Oh, man, just we're on outside looking in for sure, man. And we got bit by, tire strategy a little bit, but, we had to try something. We're the 3rd best car, probably. Oh, man, I couldn't have predicted that, man. I mean, that's all this hard work this year. I have William, just believe in me this year, man. I mean, it's surreal, dude. It's surreal, man.
Nick, I want to ask you about that move there on Zelensky. When you saw him on that restart going off the 3, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind as you could see him? Did you think you had to make that move really quickly? And how did you decide to make that move to the bottom?
Yeah, I knew he was going to wash up off the bottom, and that's what I was trying to bait him into, just go look outside and just not have anyone to my inside and drive under him. And, that's just what it came down to, brother. That was all hard work this year, thanks to, Weaver for being the best damn spotter you can ask for, man. We closed out with a damn championship. Gosh, man, that feels good. We didn't win a race, but holy crap, man. I got a phone call from William. Hold on, brother.
Take it. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you, man.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Well, that's the boss man, of course, driving for William Byron Esports, and the celebration will begin. We'll let him talk with the head of that team, and just what a way, guys, that this one came to a finish. Strategy in a race that we thought was going to go green for the longest part.
Really, the first half of the race so clean. Really, the first 2/3, Parker, and then it became clear that there were certain cars that were good. Luza had a great car. Zelensky really showed up at the oval, had a great car. Ottinger and Conti got off strategy, which I was proud. Right? They said we had to do something different. In the end, great driving by Ottinger, but that call to get off strategy gave him a chance. You saw the emotion, Parker. It just shows you what it means. It's refreshing to see. Just all that hard work paid off.
It does. And I just personally, I know how hard Nick works on this. I've raced with him a long time, and I know that when we did the Pro Invitationals earlier this year, he and William Byron really created a bond with each other, and where Nick was really helping William through those Pro Invitationals on the iRacing side, and then William was able to help him on the eNASCAR side through the races here and how to conduct strategy and working on those cars and all the different things it takes to be successful at this type of level in motorsports. So I just know there's a huge amount of work, and you saw it coming out there from the emotion that he had winning this championship. It's a very big deal. This has been a big night for sim racing, and it's been a huge night for Nick Ottinger.
Bigda from Coca-Cola, obviously, as a title partner of this eNASCAR iRacing series. Chris?
Evan, thank you on behalf of the Coca-Cola company. Congratulations to you, Nick Ottinger, on winning the first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series championship. You drove a great race tonight, but more importantly, your competitiveness and consistency all season long is what got you to this moment. I'm sorry we cannot be there in person, but you will be receiving a special champion's gift on behalf of the Coca-Cola company, and I look forward to hopefully celebrating in person with you at next year's Daytona 500. So here's to your first official Coca-Cola moment. Congratulations, Nick, on the championship. Cheers.
What a moment. Thanks so much, Chris, for joining us. This race win for Nick Ottinger, the 17th of his career. That is second on the all-time list. And he no longer has to say, guys, the highest driver on that all-time wins list without a championship, because he gets it here in 2020. What an ending to what was an incredible, unprecedented season. But there was also that second driver in this battle. Bobby Zalenski had the lead coming to the third and final attempt at an overtime finish. Parker, he finishes this race 7th in the running order and 2nd in the championship. You're talking with the driver of the 83.
Right, Bobby, sorry about how things turned out there at the end, but when we look at that last restart, what were you thinking? What moves maybe could you have made differently to try and hold off Nick Ottinger there?
Oh, there was really nothing I can do at that last restart. I think because we pretty much needed another wreck, so we ended under caution. We didn't have any tire sets left. That's how this tire sets has been this second half of the season. We've had them, and it's tough. You gotta just hope you made the right call. And I was talking about it a lot before the race. Like, it's gonna come down to just having things go your way, and I think it kind of went Nick's way. Yeah, that sucked having the wreck with Luza. Like, I was just like angry as soon as that happened. Like, I initially thought it was all me. I just turned left into him. It looked kind of like a racing incident, but there's always stuff you could do better. I'm not the one to take anybody out. And funny enough, I've never wrecked with Luza before today. So yeah, I'm just. It's heartbreaking to be this close. With Nick, I pretty much knew, unless he got caught up in somebody's business on the last restart, that it was probably it was his or Conti's, because they had fresh tires. So what can you do? I'm happy with how I drove. I proved I can win on these intermediates. I had really good practice, and we got virtual racing school up there and first for a lot of the race. We almost won this thing, but one race kind of take all format and anything can happen, and that's what you saw.
Talk to me about that battle with Luza. You mentioned the incident, but the battle leading up to that was incredible between you two, almost trading paint at times a little bit and really fierce. What was that like for you two?
That's just another battle with us. We've had a lot of good ones like that. Overall today, he had crazy long run pace, just had much more drive off out of the corner. But it came down to short runs, which I really wanted. We had a really good short run car. The battle we had right on that run, I was actually really tight, so he got to me quick, but he was going to get to me regardless because of how powerful the draft is here.
Times a little bit, really fierce.
It's tough, but it was good battling him until then. I hate that we hit each other. But we still had a shot at it. I think if we went through that first green right checkered, I think we probably would have won the championship. But you got new tires coming on old tires with a second lap time difference between the two different groups. Gonna get some wrecks.
I know this year meant a lot to you to have a chance at this huge prize. What will you look back at and take from this year overall?
Well, we did really good. We could have been a bit better throughout the regular season, but hey, the last race is all that matters. I think I did all I could for this last race to win it. And like I said, sometimes in NASCAR racing, that's the entertaining part of it. Even if you're the fastest guy and looking to win the thing, caution come out, messes everything up, and it gets crazy. Yeah, we had the best average finish this year, scored more points than anybody, had more top 5s than anybody, more top 10s, as many wins as anybody else. It was great. And we got the team's championship for Virtual Racing School. I have to try to come back with Virtual Racing School next year and defend this championship in the teams and try to win, the driving, the main championship for myself, and just get back to this race again. I think it'll probably be Phoenix next year, but you just got to give yourself a chance. It's my third time and didn't get it done, but it's racing. I can't be having any regrets. It sucks, really does. But I'm just gonna keep doing what I do.
Well, best of luck in 2021, my man. Great job tonight. And Steve, I think you caught up with the race winner here tonight.
We did. My man, Chris Shearburn, finally had something go your way. I've seen them fall the wrong way all year long. You saved a set of tires, and then you used that set of tires brilliantly through traffic. Congratulations, my man.
Thanks. It's been a long time coming. I felt like I've let a lot of wins slip through the fingers, especially this year, and the luck certainly hasn't been on my side. But for one time, I finally got a break and caught a break in traffic there on the first restart, which actually probably allowed me to get the win more than anything. Yeah, it feels great. It's amazing.
So we had Dale Jr. on here earlier, and he was talking about how long he's been iRacing. Well, I know the history. You were back years and years, decades ago, racing with those guys on all the different platforms. What's it mean to be the guy that's perhaps done this the longest to finally break through and prove to all these younger drivers, man, you still got it. You look good tonight.
Well, actually, ironically, I think this makes me the oldest winner in the series now. I think Junior had it before at 37 years old, and I just turned 39 yesterday. So, it was actually me and him probably started about the same time, within a year or two of each other, back in the mid 90s. So, it's cool to be able to still compete. I'm probably not as good as I used to be, but I still can still obviously run with them pretty decent. Like I said, my luck in this series hasn't been very good, and it's nice to finally get it. It's a long time coming for sure.
Well, man, I appreciate the effort you've always put in for Letard Esports, for our partners, Main and Tail, Track Pass, everybody all year long. Man, you're first class. You leave it all out there. Like you said, your luck hasn't been good. Tonight, though, the luck fell your way. And when it fell your way, you did your part. You knifed through traffic, used that set of tires. Congratulations on the big win.
For sure. Thanks to you. Thanks to Main and Tail, Track Pass, Raven Graphics, everybody, RacingJobs.com. Congrats to Ottinger on the win. I feel bad for Bobby, but Nick played the strategy like I did and basically benefited from it, so good job to him.
There you have it. And Chris Shearburn goes to victory lane in the championship race. Hopefully next year we'll be in that championship 4.
Yeah, take that next step. Of course, now the 54th driver to win a race in eNASCAR. Let's take a look at tonight's full race results for the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Again, the win goes to Shearburn, margin of victory. About 0.3 of a second and change over Chris Overland, just shy of a first career win. And Eric Smith, who was up there late in this one as well, third. But highlighted by your playoff cars. Nick Ottinger in 4th, beats out the likes of Bobby Zelensky, who falls to 7th, and Michael Conti in 10th, who just couldn't get the advantage of those fresh tires late.
Yeah, it ended up being just a tire strategy call and just unbelievable racing. 3 green-white checkers. We see Keegan Leahy, one of the favorites throughout the year, ends up in 12th here. Ray Alfalo, the multi-time champion, back in 15th. Bob Bryant in 16th. Zach Novak, last year's champion, all the way back in 20th, and he'll be relegated out. He'll have to come back and try to race again. Graham Bolin had a strong car, Evan, up at 21st.
Yeah, a lot of drivers who had good runs find themselves way back here in the 20s. You've got the likes of Busa, Gorlinski, who drop way back after honestly pretty good cars at the start of this race. You got, even on the next page, Ryan Luza, of course, in 31st position to Parker, the lowest of those championship 4 after that accident.
And he probably had the strongest car here tonight, especially on the long run, as Bobby Zelensky referenced. He was incredibly fast. That awesome battle between the two ended in the wreck that he was involved in into turn 3, but he showed he had the speed, which is something I don't think he knew if he would have coming into this, but definitely showed up when it was time.
and performed. And it comes down to strategy and a couple of restarts later that it makes a difference between walking away with the 100 grand or not. And all of your championship four are going to walk away with some big money. A lot of them more than what this series used to pay out. Used to be just $10,000 to the series champion. Of course, we saw it reach a record high last year. I think it was about $40,000. And tonight with a $300,000 prize pool, $100,000 of which going to the very top spot. There is your relegation, and as mentioned, looks like that Challenger, Kerwin, Gorlinski, some of the bottom drivers in, and your defending champ Zach Novak out. Your teammate Ryan Lewis and Matt Busa also out. We saw these guys up front, guys. Nathan Lyon, Eric Smith, Chris Overland also just missing the cut. So they will go down to the qualifier series. They will join the top 20 cars from the Road to Pro, and those 40 cars will fight over the course of the offseason. The top 20 in points for that will be the 20 back added to this championship for 2021. Well, as we wrap things up here tonight from the virtual Homestead Miami Speedway, I mean, what a race. And how many different races we had in this one race, right? It looked like it was going to go green. We thought that Ryan Lewis was in prime position. We were talking about pit stops. Conti tried to maybe do it on one. We saw Ottinger short pitting to get an advantage. It really wasn't working out late for him. And maybe lose with a small advantage over Zelensky. But Steve, we got that first yellow, then we got a second. Of course, the contact with Luza and Zelensky, and then it was the decision by Conti and Ottinger to pit to get fresh tires that put them on the hunt, and Ottinger was fast enough to get it done in the end. What a way to crown a champion.
Yeah, 134 laps plus a few green-white checkers, and it took every single lap and every single attempt to figure out who the champion was going to be. In the end, it was a strategy call that helped Nick Ottinger be in position, but Parker, I challenged that it was way more than strategy. Conti had the same opportunity, but Ottinger found a way. We saw those restarts, 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide, pushing, shoving when he could, being even patient when there was nowhere to go, didn't just wreck his car. All of that added in. We saw the emotion. It was really just a great night. It's wonderful to see what it means to Nick Ottinger to be the champion.
No doubt. And I think for me, watching Nick Ottinger do that early under short pit was the aggression level that we knew he was going to bring all night. That's what he brought to this championship fight. And it paid off in the end with saving that set of tires till late. And then those restarts, I'll remember those restarts for as long as I live. Seeing him use different lanes and find the correct lanes through the middle, which is one of the hardest places to go, and have it all work out for him. That was really impressive to see him use those lanes correctly and make those and have such good restarts. So overall, an incredible effort by Nick Ottinger, by all these drivers, by all the championship four. What an incredible season for eNASCAR. I can't wait for 2021.
I know that you'll remember those restarts for some time. I know that Nick Ottinger will. I know that Bobby Zelensky will. And I know that everybody else will. As that's it. We have closed the door now on round number 20, and that's it for us here this season with eNASCAR Racing on iRacing. And of course, this wouldn't be possible without our entire team behind the scenes. So for one final time, on behalf of our entire team at NASCAR and for iRacing, for myself, Evan Pasocco, along with Steve Letarte, Parker Kligerman, and Tim Terry, want to thank you for tuning in all year long and give a big congratulations to Nick Ottinger, who is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion in 2020.
We just get him done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm ready whenever you.